show is about to begin. Enjoy.
Michael O'Grady, I creativi.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 14 of Michael O'Grady and the Creatives. I am your host, Michael O'Grady, and today my very awesomely talented, super cool, creative guest is an amazing guitar player. I've been fortunate enough to play with him a couple of times on stage, watch him play several times. He has played with Perry Farrell, with Scott Weiland. He's played in the Sayers house band for I don't know how many years now, because when I first moved to LA, that's where I saw him play, and it made me realize I need to go home and practice. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nick Maybury. What's up?
Yo, what's up?
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, man.
Welcome. Thanks for coming down and checking out the show and being a guest on
pleasure.
this new podcast crazy thing that I've jumped on the podcast bandwagon that everybody did, because I was like, I want to see people. I want to see what's going on and say
man.
hello.
Man, Joe Rogan, he's influential these days.
That's basically what it is. I was just like, I can do that. I can sit down and talk to everybody. You know
It's
what
a
I
thing,
mean?
it's a thing.
It really is. Yeah. So you just you also just got back from a rehearsal just now.
Yeah.
What was that? What's going on
Well,
with
it's
that?
it's interesting. Like, it's got called to do this thing recently because I thought
Oh, go ahead. Make sure you get.
I thought
tight.
everything
There
was
you
done
go.
for the year,
Mhm.
and then boom, a phone call came, and then it's like, cool, we're doing stuff around like Halloween season. So yeah,
Really?
it's like a rock band, and yeah, we're gonna be playing like drive-in stuff because I've got a buddy out there now playing drive-ins, opening for Blackberry Smoke, Nick Perry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's doing it right now because like we're like, oh no one's doing this, and that's like I guess some people are starting to do it. So it's happening in Europe as well. So you go out and you play, like you go to a drive-in movie theater and there's a rock band that can play
Right.
with people in their cars, so it's social distance and everyone's
Yeah, and
masks and
yeah,
everything.
put the mask back up and
Yeah.
everything.
So yeah,
I know that's so that's what I wanted to ask you about too, because we were just talking before this. I have only recently just done like one gig. It was at a party and it was like at the end of the month, and it was social distant, like, but they had like their friends and families and they still wanted to celebrate like a birthday, and they're like, we want like live music, we want to feel like a little
awesome.
normal, you know what I mean? And that's what I was like wondering about for you. Like, what do you have going on with rehearsals? Is everybody talking about like what's going on for us, like as musicians playing out here now? Like, what's different? What's changed? And like, how does it feel?
We had that last show at Sayers, I think it was March 13th that week.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't played anything live in front of people since March.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That's basically the same
It's
for
been
me.
online the whole time. So it's just like, everything kind of went online more so than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was kind of forced to do their streaming thing.
Yeah.
And everybody was doing the streaming thing, from like celebs to like, just normal people, or like everyone, everyone was just online. So yeah, man. So it's interesting, like having no venues to play in,
Right.
isn't it? It's just so weird.
And you haven't had a live gig since March.
Let me think. Yeah, I really can't. Definitely don't think I've had a live gig.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. I've done a few. I did like some like video stuff, but yeah, not in front of like an audience or like an actual gig.
No, right.
Not like a traditional gig per se.
Right.
Just totally COVID
Show it,
style,
yeah.
like social distance in the camera, or like a recorded type of thing.
It was a very weird thing for me, like, because it's kind of like being a musician and getting back on the horse or like riding a bike. You don't forget, but it was weird that I was just like, it felt like I'm getting back on the horse. I'm riding my bike again, but the whole time I was like, are we sure this is okay? Like, you know what I mean? It's a bit for me. My last gig was like at the end of February.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, this is so bizarre. And then like halfway through the gig, you kind of just like, I forgot. And I was like, oh yeah, playing a live show in front of people and people being like genuinely involved or whatever.
I guess none of us really knew it was going to this was going to happen like this way. Like,
no,
you wouldn't think that you'd be like, it's easy to take music for granted. You try not to, but you never would have thought in a million years you wouldn't be able to play a show.
Right.
Like,
that dude, that's the, I know that's
like,
the fucking
hell. Anyway,
I know it's such a weird thing, because it's like none of us saw this coming.
it's not as fun on the video.
No.
It's way more fun in front of people.
Oh, it always is. Yeah. You got to get that. You got to get that social interaction.
So many of my friends have been like, oh, I miss playing in front of people, like my musician friends and stuff.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I saw one of the things that you did maybe a couple of months ago now. That's the other thing. We're in like in a twilight zone of where a week feels like a month, a month it felt like a year or whatever. But you did something virtual with Perry Farrell.
Yeah,
recently.
that's right. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. What did I do? Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did Lollapalooza 2020 on the video, and we shot it in LA, and I think they just got a house and set up camp and did a few locations in the house and interviewed Perry, and they made a few performances as well.
No shit.
And we just played outside, like acoustic.
But in front of like cameras.
Yeah,
and
just in front of production. Yeah, there's no audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys do like a full set?
No, we just did like a couple of songs. It was just like I think we did like Johnny Cash and a Bowie song, and that was
pretty much it.
Pretty much
just something to do, something to give fans and like the audience like, hey, we're all in the same shit boat together.
Yeah, and it was a kind heaven thing too, because the record had come out, and we did the tour last year, and then we're supposed to be touring again this year and doing all that stuff. So it's a chance to kind of keep the awareness of like the songs and stuff. Like that.
Oh, so they had a whole schedule for 2020.
Yeah, we had like Lollapalooza stuff and like that kind of stuff, and like just general things that we're gonna do, and but obviously no one can play now, so nothing's happening. So
But I mean, the one thing I noticed about the video is that you got to play with Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you met him?
Well,
played with
actually, the first time we met was last year at Stockholm Lollapalooza, the inaugural Stockholm branch for Lollapalooza. Foo Fighters was one of the headliners.
Oh, okay.
Foo Fighters and Travis Scott. So they came out and did their thing, and because Chaney's in the band, and like Chaney's tight with Taylor from the Alanis days, and
Oh, okay.
And Taylor's a huge he's a huge Perry fan, like
right.
They're so funny together. And anyway, so yeah, they're all friends, and then so we I met Taylor last year backstage at the Foo Fighters thing.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fun.
Oh my god.
We get back there and there's a big jam room and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like a mini venue, like a mini venue, like backstage.
like to kind of like warm up, get it going.
They got 412 cabs and like loud as hell drum. Like he's hitting it like he's in the stadium in the jam room.
He's gotta get warmed up.
It's great. Yeah,
that's fucking because when I saw that I was like, no shit, Nick's fucking playing with I know you've been playing with Perry for a while.
Perry. That's all Perry and Chaney.
Basically. Yeah, and like and then I was like, oh, and fucking Taylor's sitting on. Was it just Cajon?
For that thing.
You know what I'm talking about?
The connection is also because Taylor is on the Kind Heaven record.
Oh, he is.
He's on a couple of tracks. Yeah, he's on a few tracks. Yeah, okay. In the studio. So he's kind of like part of the whole Kind Heaven thing. So it's kind of tied into the family. So and what we did a Kind Heaven song and a Johnny Cash song this year.
Nice.
We did What Jackson or something like that, and then
okay.
And then we did a song called Red, White, Blue Cheerfulness.
Oh, really?
Which is Kind Heaven. It's great fun. That's one of the things that
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Taylor played on. It's fun. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's funny.
Man, that's at least cool that like there's at least everything has changed, but at least we can like kind of adapt and overcome and go, okay, well, at least we can do this. At least we can do that. It's not what we're used to. It's not what we prefer. Yeah. But like,
Yeah, Perry was just like keeping the spirit alive and just keeping the music going and just like do something, So we ended up just doing acoustic and a cajon, and it was really fun. It sounded really cool. Like I was watching it back, it's like, oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah. Because sometimes it's you're doing acoustic stuff. It's just like it can be a little bit blasé, but I feel like those guys, it's really fun.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, like, I feel like maybe you're like a little like me when it comes to guitar playing, and that like we want all the stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because I get it. When you do acoustic, it kind of just takes the piss and vinegar out of that feeling, especially if it's just acoustic guitar and then cajon. You're like, where's the rest of the band?
All about the song.
That is true.
Then you're relying on the song to be great.
Yeah, that is true. That's one of the great things I learned like a long time ago was I was in a band that was managed by Randy Jackson, from American Idol. Not for me, dog.
Didn't he play bass with Joe Satriani in like the late 80s or something?
I don't know, but he did play for Journey for a minute.
I've seen him on bass playing with Joe
Really?
Satriani
I didn't know
in San Francisco somewhere. Yeah, like the Always With Me, Always With You, like tour or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've only known him that he's jumped in with Journey.
So he managed the band that you're in?
That I was in.
Cool.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, what was that thing? Like a pop
it was called North of Nine. It was like a starter up project.
like a rock pop thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it was kind of like a Maroon vibe type of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like the token long hair guitar player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not now, right now. Cut it all off. I got. But no, and that was the thing that he said was that
because that's how it works, isn't it, Mike? You have long hair and you play guitar, you get the gig.
Boom. That's it. Yeah, exactly. There was something I heard a long time ago from a friend of mine that when Slash was putting together a band, a buddy of mine said a friend of his got the gig. Like, I think he was a bass player. And he like got the gig and then he showed up to rehearsal and he was rehearsing. And the story my friend told me was that his bass player friend had short hair. And Slash's wife or somebody on the crew was like, you can't have a guy in the band with short hair. And they fired him like that day.
Poor bugger.
Yeah, but because that's the one weird thing I think that, and I explain this to people all the time, especially people who are not musicians or in Hollywood, like you will literally get a gig just off the way you look.
Yeah, that's sad. That was a bummer for me coming into the business when I was younger. I was like, oh, what? It's about how you look as well.
Really?
It's the whole package, but yeah, having good looks helps. But hey, man,
or having the right vibe and the right look for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've gotten let go of a gig because they were just like, it's not the right.
It's not gonna work with it.
No, because you know what it was? It was like a band that was they were like short hair.
Yeah.
Prettied up.
Yeah.
And they wore like bright like colors, and they just had like a surf rock classic California like
Beach Boys.
Yeah, kind of, but like more pop and modern and everything. And I just don't fit that whatsoever. And I asked the guy, I was like, why'd I get let go? And he was like, they were just like, it doesn't fit. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. Okay. You know what
or you can, the funny story with John Paul Jones and Song Remains the Same.
No, I don't know.
Apparently he had cut his hair before that video.
Really?
So he's put on that video, he's got apparently it's a wig.
Oh, no shit.
And it looks like a wig. If you look back, you go, oh, yeah, it's a wig.
But it's the 70s. Everybody's hair looked like a wig.
Yeah, so he had this big dome, but like bell-shaped like haircut. I was going, fuck, he's got that funny like bowl haircut thing going on.
No shit.
And my buddy the other day was telling me, yeah, it was a wig because he cut his hair and management like, you got to, Jonesy, you got to put a wig on, man.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. You want to stay in Led Zeppelin?
Yeah.
You want to still be in Led Zeppelin?
Just for that one show,
Yeah. I know, that's what...
Pretty sure it's a wig. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it sounds about right.
You know who's worse than the entertainment business when it comes to your looks? Are kids. Because I teach kids, and I've been teaching a lot more lately. Yeah. And when I cut all the hair off, they would get on the Zoom call with me, and their first reactions were,
Where are you?
What did you do? What happened to my teacher? He's supposed to look like a dirty musician. Like, no. They were pissed, man. They were not thrilled.
I had long hair till about 4 weeks ago. My friend came. You cut it? Yeah, my friend came to town and cut it.
Oh, really?
I wanted to keep it long, but my girl was like, "Hey, you should cut it." I was like,
"You've always kind of had like the long
keep it
hair.
Kind of longish, kind of.
Yeah.
I like to keep it longish.
I think I saw one photo of you not too long ago that was like a throwback, and you had like really short hair, and I was like, "That is not Nick Maybury." Like it is, but it isn't. It was so weird. I know it's a weird thing that we do, and like the other thing was I was talking to my buddy Matt Jordan. He plays. Played at Sayers a bunch of times with us. And we were talking about that the other day, and I was like, if my friends from Ohio could hear the way we talk about our look and our hair, they would.
Matt Jordan from Ohio?
What's that?
Is he from Ohio?
Who?
Matt Jordan.
No, me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm saying I'm from Ohio.
You are though, yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio.
What, Cincinnati or?
No, Cleveland area.
Cleveland, yeah.
Like well, okay, so hold on. This is otherwise people will get upset with me who do listen to the show. So Cleveland area.
Yeah.
And then I'm from Youngstown.
Yep.
And I'm from a city outside of Youngstown called Warren, Ohio.
I know Youngstown.
You know Youngstown?
I know Youngstown, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure have you played there?
First gig I did with Perry at when we joined up in 2008. They put us on the Get Out and Vote show.
Really?
With Beastie Boys and Ben Harper and Sheryl Crow and Who else was it? Nora Jones
No shit.
and Perry. We opened it. Yeah, it's great. Youngstown, Ohio, the Chevrolet Center.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
was like, whoa, we're playing. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shit, I didn't know you were over there. That's really fucking
Yeah, it was
cool.
awesome fun. That was a great time.
This is like right when you got started with Perry?
Yeah, I just remember driving in, like they pick you up in the car in the airport, and like in the car and like driving to the venue, like it was cool.
You just feel like I'm a rock star.
We're
now.
getting turned around.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, by the way, I should mention I can hear the fucking chair squeaking. It
Squeaky,
shouldn't
squeaky.
pick up. Let it squeak.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's not your fault. That's my fault. I gotta put WD-40 on that shit. But I was like, I hope it's not bothering you because it
No.
shouldn't pop up, but we might notice it.
Oh,
I don't
good.
know.
Oh,
Anyway,
good.
I can edit that part out. No, but no, it's cool, man. Like I've yet to have like a thing like that. Well, we did a couple like I did like these radio shows and like these festivals like near the. I haven't been to Youngstown to play a show yet.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, yes.
Is that like a bigger place where guys would play, perhaps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It goes like Youngstown.
Because Warren's like a bit smaller town.
It's very small. So it would go. Actually, the biggest is Cleveland. That's your closest, biggest one.
Is the Agora ballroom in Cleveland?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
One of my first big shows I ever played was
It's
at the
fun.
Agora Ballroom.
fun.
It was nuts. I think I still have a photo of it somewhere.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
won
yeah.
like a contest to
High
record
stage.
a day. Yeah,
Super
very
high
high
stage.
stage.
Yeah.
But that was
And
like,
the rail and everything.
does it have the rail?
I think it had a rail.
I would
Okay,
say
might have been
the ballroom
for different shows.
Is the
maybe.
ballroom the big one?
Agora ballroom?
Because there's three. Is what I remember about the Agora is there's 3 rooms.
Oh,
There's like the
there's a ballroom for sure.
So maybe the ballroom does. Yeah, because if
Yeah.
it's the big one,
Yeah.
I can't remember if we played in the ballroom. That would make sense though. But yeah, there's
So what do you do in Warren? Did you did you go fishing or did you ride motorbikes or what?
pretty much.
Rock and roll, obviously.
Yeah,
but, like,
rock and roll, obviously. And
chasing
it's like,
girls and.
It's exactly.
Why'd you play football or something?
No, I was never big enough to play football. I was not that good.
Baseball.
I was a baseball kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Did you have sports?
Dude,
growing
it's
up?
crazy because like when you know, my younger years, I guess I was kind of a sport guy, like Minky. Dude, this thing we had.
Wait,
called
what's
Minky was the
Minky?
first sport I played. What it is, it's mini hockey.
really?
So it's like soccer on the grass, but you have a stick,
Okay,
and it's girls and guys.
really.
Yeah. So you.
So it's like lacrosse, but without the net, and it's
Well-
like hockey on grass.
Well, yeah, it's like soccer. It's like soccer on grass with a stick and a smaller ball.
Really?
Yeah, and you
What
got
kind of a ball is it?
just like it's kind of like a almost plasticky kind of a tennis ball, like
Really?
not very big of a ball.
But it can go.
Yeah, it can go. You give it
You
a good
can
whack.
launch it.
You
Yeah,
give it a good
It's
whack.
called Minky.
It's called Minky.
Minky, like Minky.
Yeah.
We're gonna play some Minky.
Yeah.
No shit. I've never heard of this. Why have I never heard of this?
I'm gonna play some Minky.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And then we had what? So I'd played
it like-
Minky,
is
and then I
like a
played
net-
soccer.
Net goal for Minky.
Yeah.
Like a hockey
I can't
goal.
remember. It must have been. It must
Or-
have been. Or maybe it
yeah.
might have had just flags. I think it just has flags.
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah,
gotcha.
and they had a
Yep.
goalkeeper, like
Is it a professional sport Australia?
No, I think it's just like
It's like a recreational, like low.
It's like an entry level, like getting kids to play sport kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
I never know how we
gotcha.
even found out about it. We
You-
found it. Maybe one of our friends was doing it, so we thought
Yeah,
we'd do
that's
it with
what
our friend
it
or
always
something.
goes, Yeah.
And then
That's-
my brother played it. I think it's
Yeah.
funny, man.
Well, that's what you did when you were a kid. That's what I did. Like you
Yeah.
played like I was on like the baseball team.
Yeah.
And I played like all the way up until I was about in high school.
Yeah.
And then I joined band and became a nerd.
I mean, I must have been 7 years old, like, because I played under-8 soccer after that.
Oh, really?
So I played soccer, then I went on to play rugby union and league. I played rugby league and union.
You played rugby?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a football player, you know, like, and yeah, I played rugby union for Manly against. Like, I played rep rugby. Can you believe it?
Wait, no, I didn't know. Wait, when did you do this? How old are you?
I would have been in 7th grade. Yeah, so my transition into music. I mean, I was always into music, but the like 5th grade. No, I was really into it in like the 4th grade and the 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend next door neighbor had guitar, so I'd play the guitar at my friend's house.
Yeah.
His next neighbor, and you know, we were like surfing and doing like the cricket and all that sports stuff,
Right.
and like fishing and you know, but skateboarding and stuff. Rollerblades was huge. Rollerblades. Were you
Yeah.
around in the rollerblade craze? Was on
Yeah, when I was a kid, for sure. You went through that. I got to get a
the
good pair of-
'90s thing, the early '90s
like,
rollerblade
did you-
craze
did you
hit
guys-
big in
Did
Australia.
you guys do like roller rinks? Did you have all that?
Yeah,
We had the roller rinks.
yeah, those roller rinks.
My first
Yes,
show
it
was,
was.
At my first show was at a roller rink.
Yeah,
Fun fact too, real quick. I'll let you wait.
Yeah.
But the roller rink I played at,
Yeah.
the first one, Joe Walsh used to play at that
That's
roller
cool.
rink too.
That's cool.
And I thought that was always cool.
What, in Ohio? He's from Ohio.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly where from Ohio.
He can
but
set up his own Les Paul. Pretty good too.
Yeah, he's...
He's
Because I
great.
remember I learned that. I was like, because who's from Ohio? And then you realize there's so many fucking musicians from Ohio.
Yeah. I love the James Gang, man. You like the James Gang?
Yeah, I love
so
that
good.
shit. It's
I love
my
the James.
favorite shit.
Yeah.
Anytime I go on like a bike ride or I'm doing something, I put on Spotify and I put on that classic 70s James Gang, 70s Boston, Don't Look Back. We're going down, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like, it was like Jeff Beck and like Led Zeppelin, and then there was like the James Gang, that was the American one,
Right.
It's around the same time. Obviously, he's listening to Jeff Beck, and stuff like that. But it was cool. I thought it was really cool what he was doing, that psychedelic kind of rock thing.
I always thought that was
great.
so badass.
Riffy rock and like high vocals, kind of like a Zeppelin-y kind of a vibe. It's
totally.
Cool.
Well, and also a lot of that shit's like really big as far as like the songs are big. The parts are big. The songs are long. It's epic. It's all this type
then
of
he
shit.
had Midnight Man. That's
Midnight
very
Man.
Beatles sounding song.
Which one's Midnight
Midnight
Man?
Man.
Oh,
like it's like open G thing, like very Beatles kind of a riff.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah.
Very twangy, kind of a strat, whatever it was.
That's the kind of shit like I'll listen to all the time.
Yeah,
like
well,
when I'm
country.
cleaning the house or again, like if I'm on a trip and I'm like, I think my go-to trip band, I don't know why this is, and I don't know if this makes sense, but is Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh yeah, that's like an American thing. That I just know Count for the Reaper.
Yeah. Don't Fear the Reaper, but like Burning for You.
See, that's the stuff I don't know. Is that like a New York? Is that like an East Coast kind of a thing?
I don't know if it's East Coast.
It's like
I don't know where Blue Oyster Cult's from.
I feel like they might be from like Long Island or something. Who knows?
I don't know either. Yeah, I just know when I think of that, I think I think of like Blue Oyster Cult, and then 38 Special, and then Golden Earring.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about? Like
I might have heard of Golden Earring once.
Yeah. Here's the thing I think about some of those bands is that you'll know those songs. Know you've heard them, but then you're like, oh, it's them. Or like REO Speedwagon and stuff like that. I grew up with like AC/DC, Zeppelin, and Beatles and all that stuff. And then I discovered, because you hear it in movies, you hear it in pop culture and stuff like that. So,
absolutely.
Wait, where were we at? So we're in Australia.
Yeah.
You're playing Minky
and football and
exactly.
Yeah, surfing and football and cricket and hang with the with the buddies
and you still surf now out here.
Yeah, still surf. Yeah.
Have you gone surfing lately?
Yeah. So that's what saved me all summer.
I was
when I just finally gave in and went on unemployment, I was like, I tried to do it for 3 months. And I was like, nah, this will be done by the summer. Like we'll be fine. We'll be back out.
Yeah, that's
good.
What,
And then it's like, I'll just do my thing. Won't do any shows, but I'll just teach and hustle and do some studio stuff. And it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? And then it was like, oh, this isn't going away. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, I better just go on the unemployment then. Went on it, and then I was like, all right, well, let's go surf. So things were really good when I got on the unemployment. I was like, I'm going surfing.
I mean,
like 4 times a week, probably drive to Malibu.
No shit, really.
Sponsored by the freaking government, paying my. I'm getting paid to surf now.
Not only is he an accomplished guitar player, ladies and gentlemen, he is also now a professional surfer, considering
sponsored by the
state of California.
Shit.
Anyway. Like, that's gonna be on your new Instagram. That's gonna be on your new business card. Be like, I'm a professional. You could put that down.
But I got a gig now, so I've got to go off unemployment. So there.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So I only lasted 2 months.
Can you talk about the gig? What's going on? What's this new gig?
I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but I can. Okay. It's just gonna be like a fun rock gig. Just like I can tell you like a little bit about it. Like,
sure, yeah.
I can't say be like super specific.
I think because the thing is, for what
I can tell you about the concept, like what it is, right? It's
what you guys have been dealing with, or like how you've been prepping, or just because for people out there listening, going like.
How are they doing it?
What are people doing?
Well, at the studio, you're supposed to wear a mask and everything. You're not supposed to go in without a mask, obviously. But, we're in a room. It's a big studio, so you can kind of stand away from each other. We're not, like, all on top of each other. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. But, yeah, no, like, what it is, it's like the way it's working is because it's like a movie. A guy is an actor in a movie.
Okay.
And he has a band that's like kind of has me. I think he like might have done the score or something, or he might have his tunes in the music of music in the movie, maybe.
Right.
So it's kind of like a package deal. So people go out and watch the movie, and then his band's gonna play before the movie. Oh. So that's what it is.
Got it. Okay.
But it's a gig though. We're gonna be on a bus and everything.
No shit.
Yeah, but it'll be like it'll have the COVID person, so you have to do like regular testing like before and during and after and stuff like that.
Are you guys gonna be doing the nose and the mouth swab and like periodically?
I don't even know. I probably want to just be like the nose. Yeah, we've got to find out. But yeah,
From
so
some
be
of
like
the
that.
From some of the stuff I've heard, and I got briefed on something for like an acting gig that they were like, you might have to do at least the mouth swab, like, or at least the nose or whatever they're at now.
I'm okay with
like
the nose
3 times a week.
as long as it's not the one in there. I don't want to do the one
That's
that goes
the
up.
only way they do it, man.
Can they do the one that's around the rim? Or does it have to go all
Oh,
the
they
way
can
up?
do that now.
I think there might be a rim one.
I got fucked twice on that. They stuck it straight into my brain. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think I probably refuse that. I don't know. It's crazy.
Have you not had that yet?
It's crazy. No.
It pinches really. It's weird.
Oh, to get you hits your brain, is it?
Yeah, it's like
Almost.
it's that feeling of like you know, and I can't think of a good example. You ever do something like of a physical injury and it makes your eyes water up, like it makes you just go
It's like that. It's like that.
pierce, that weird,
Oh, it's like that.
and
Oh,
you're just like, oh.
brutal.
This one lady, the last lady I had, she did my nose and then my mouth, and I really hoped that it was a different instrument and it wasn't the same because it was.
Wow.
Because she did it and she was like, I'm so sorry. Bah! And like, it's not that bad. Like, it pinches for like a couple of seconds. It makes you tear up, like your eyes water.
Shit.
And then like after I got that done, that people were like, why did they stick it in your nose? Everybody's been doing the mouth now. They're past that point.
Well, thank God for that.
And I'm like,
Thanks, guys.
maybe they just.
So you had to test to get the gig, obviously, or something.
Oh no! This was just a regular checkup. Like I went to the doctor.
Smart.
And but then the thing that I've been learning about with like what's been going on with like the entertainment business with like acting and stuff like that. And a buddy of mine was saying like, you know, like if anybody's like gonna shoot on location and they're bringing people out, it was like this whole like, you might have to like quarantine for 14 days at the location, and whoever you're like, the crew is small.
Yeah.
And whatever job is going on for a lot of jobs out there, it's like if you're on it, they're gonna test you like every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, are they doing that with you guys?
Yeah,
at
it's
all?
gonna be something like that. Like when they call me.
You're going on like a little movie theater tour.
Well, yeah.
Or not a movie theater, but
no,
a movie tour show. What are they calling it?
Yeah, well, it's more like it's more of a like a it's more about the movie, I feel, but the music's tied into it.
Right.
Because the guy's like acting in the movie and it's his
Yeah.
movie, so he likes to rock, so he's got a band that's going to support like the whole thing. So it's like an experience, like a drive-in thing where they'll go and watch the movie and there's a band playing.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, and it'd be like like cornfields in the Midwest and stuff like that.
Right.
Like and stuff like drive-ins, whatever they can get away with, I
Yeah.
guess, or whatever they can figure out.
Do you know when you're supposed to head out?
Yeah, it's around Halloween season.
Oh, is it really? Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah.
Can is it a horror flick?
Maybe.
We can't talk.
Maybe.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. So it's around that, but yeah. So yeah.
But that's at least cool that you got that going on. Because when you
Yeah.
said, when I hit you up to do this, I was like, you're like, oh, I'm coming from rehearsal, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's got a rehearsal?
Yeah.
Who's got a rehearsal
Yeah,
now?
I
Like,
know,
it feels so weird to hear somebody say
Dancing
that.
with the Stars was rehearsing next door.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh, so,
So there's people out there, and Miley was rehearsing next door, I think, too.
was he really?
At one point before us, yeah.
No shit.
So yeah, is it because it's at that space where people rehearse? So,
Center staging?
yeah. Oh, maybe.
Up in the valley?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. You're like, I can't talk about it anymore. There's a
I'm
red
now fired. If they
There's
ever see
a
this.
red dot on your chest in your head. They're like, take him out. Fuck, he gave away too
Yeah.
much information.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy though. So
Yeah.
I mean, everything's. I guess like everything's being like tight-lipped,
Yeah.
that kind of a type of thing.
Yeah.
And you're just going like, all right, well, let's see what happens here and everything.
Yeah, everything's up in the air, It's like I can't wait till I don't even know what next year's gonna be like. I mean, I hope it's better.
Dude,
Who knows?
I mean, even if it's, I don't know. I feel like the thing that I've been going is that I'm like, if places open up and venues open up and they go, hey, we're going to do shows, not as many people are going to come out, number one.
Yeah.
I don't think. Or could there be the possibility that more people are going to come because they're going to appreciate it more? We're going to, do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, people are going to be like, oh, we get to finally go to the fucking Viper Room, or we get to
Yeah.
finally go to the Troubadour or Sayers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I mean, like again, I did my little social distant gig not that long ago. And some people are not acting like anything has happened.
Yeah.
They're kind of still they would come up to me and start they started like talking to me and getting closer and closer, and I was starting to feel that very weird
Like,
do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't feel that comfortable with this. And I'm like, so I'm not like a germaphobe. I'm not like any, and I've been lucky. I didn't get any symptoms from COVID. I haven't had it, blah, blah, blah.
knock on wood.
Yeah, I know, right? But now I'm kind of like, ooh, there's...
Now I'm here and I'm going to give it to you.
Right.
Just kidding. No, me either, dude. I mean, I got the flu in February, and that was a long time ago, and I've been good ever since.
Right, yeah.
My buddy came over, and he got sick a week later. How awful.
Ooh.
And then he got tested. He goes, no, you're good.
It was just the flu.
It was the flu. Yeah, it wasn't
That's the
it wasn't
other thing,
COVID-19. So then I knew, okay, great. Well, then...
Everybody's freaking out. The second you get like a sniffle or like you cough, people are like, kill him.
Yeah. I mean, my mom's a nurse, and she hasn't had one over in Sydney.
Wait, say that again? She's a nurse?
My mom's a nurse. And okay, what, have you had any COVID? Yeah. She said, not yet. I was like, that's weird.
Not for her.
But not for her.
But has she been treating people and working?
She's a different thing anyway. She's like, she goes into the houses with the elderly, so it's like not like she's in a hospital or anything.
How is it over there? Is it like...
So it seems relatively unaffected in certain areas, and then the Melbourne thing's gone crazy now, and then, But like up in like, I think like Queensland and like Byron areas, it's just like kind of normal, like, because it's kind of bushy land anyway.
Oh, so it's... Okay.
Yeah. But they closed that Queensland border, so it's all crazy right now.
I know, man. I'm like, I can't keep
the world's just going bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy,
dude. I can't fucking keep up with everything anymore. It's been ridiculous. I know. And the only thing for me that, again, I mean, I know everything's been shitty and it's been weird. The only, you try to find the silver lining in things and go, this sucks, but let me see how I can try to make it a positive. Yeah. Doing the podcast, I was like,
you do other things.
I was like, I want to do something different.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity
do other things.
Right, exactly. So, and it was just like, my only thing was, and I don't know about, and you've been here a long time and you've been doing amazing, awesome shit. But the one thing I thought about, I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe this is just like a good reset button anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of get your bearings back together, reassess. You get to have that feeling of like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we're all stressed about money and work and when we're going to, but at the same time, like what I don't think a lot of people like realize is to be like a working musician out here. Yeah. It's a fucking,
you have to
go.
You have to teach as well right now.
Yeah.
You got to do other stuff. Mm-hmm. You got to do session work and teaching. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're like an artist that like sells a lot of streams, which is probably very hard right now. Unless you're like a legacy act or something. Right, I know. That can sell ticket streams. Which is very hard.
Ticket streams?
Like sell streams. Like how can you sell? Oh yeah. Like you can watch this stream if you paid to come in and watch it or something. Right, yeah. Like and who gets who's gonna be able to Some people want you might go for that. A lot of people depends who the artist is. Well, and I don't understand. Then they got big artists that like just give it away for free and then something whatever. Right. Depending on what you're doing. I don't know what I'm talking about. Neither do I, man. Don't worry about it. We're just going with it. No, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, especially with like what I've learned from like YouTube views and Spotify plays, you got to get so much just to get paid like a couple of bucks. Yeah. And it's not even that good. So it's like, I know as like, as a creator, a writer, a musician or whatever, I'm going like, wait, how is this going to pay off in the end? Like, do you know what like, and it's a very weird, scary time where not anybody, like we're used to playing in front of people and recording on an album. And now this is like a whole new technology phase that it was already doing its thing before, but now more so than ever. Yeah, I mean, then maybe they'll bring some new venues back in different places that'll, viable. Yeah. It's kind of probably how it will be. Well, and that was the other thing too. Like when I started doing this, I was talking to people from Ohio, and I don't know if you get this from people in Australia, where you're like, "Oh yeah, I was just played at the Troubadour the other night," and it's like they're like, "What? Yeah, you played at the Troubadour? Get the fuck out!" Like it's like it's just normal. Yeah. It's like normal for us. It's like what you do here. It's what you do. Yeah. And everyone else is like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Yeah. Like and it's, but. I wanted to ask you about because the Viper Room was really hyped too for it's always been kind of hyped really, but like the Australians were like hyped on Viper Room because it was had the celebrity thing about it. Did you have that growing up like LA? Well, I mean, I mean, if you watch TV, if you watch Entertainment Network or something like E News or something, you'd find out about that stuff. No,
Right.
I mean, what I liked about LA was that it was still like kind of rocking. Like when I came here, like it's 2006.
Oh, okay.
Like there's still like a rock music thing going on, whereas like Australia was more European. It was kind of going. It's more new wave and more like the Cure kind of stuff, and that was big here too. But I feel like the AC/DCs and the Led Zeppelins and the Sabbaths of all people was like more appreciated, kind of on a wider audience. Like because LA, the Sunset Strip is like rock and roll embedded into it.
Right.
So like LA to me felt more like a rock town.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love electronic. I produce electronic music as well. Like I love electronic music. Not all of it, but like certain types of it I'm really into. But yeah, no, like being a guitar player and a rock guitar player is fun for me to get like a big rock gig and play in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, or otherwise you're doing a session for like an R&B cat and it's different and it's great and it's groovy, but there's a different feeling to playing through a couple of Marshalls and a big amp and a lot of people and like getting a blaster solo. You know, it's fun.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a thing that was kind of like not dying art form, but just like an older art form, which I was still really interested in. And I found like I could find an appreciation, and not only that, but psychedelic rock. It was a bit like Californian psych scene. Like, you know, it's kind of a bigger scene here.
Right.
Like Sydney was more like, you know, DJs and a lot of jazz, funk, great jazz, really good jazz. And the bands, the hip bands were probably more like Morrissey or something, or more like the Strokes kind of music or something.
Yeah, and you're saying like this is like 2000, early 2000s?
Like mid-2000s and stuff. That was a big
sense.
thing. Like the Kings of Leon and the Strokes was a big thing back then. So it's a different sound. Like it's not really rock and roll. It's got like really structured arrangements, kind of romantic sounding. It's got like a bit of an edgy, angular kind of 80s like Gang of Four guitar thing to it.
Right.
Very different to like the AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, obviously, but like the evolution of music had kind of.
When I think of it, I think of like the Strokes and Kings of Leon. It's like slacks and like, or at least early Kings of Leon. They had like that very specific haircut.
I like the early King stuff. Like
you know what I mean?
Like real Nashville kind of like riffy, rocky, like kinky
but
sort of stuff.
I know what you mean. It's
that was
like
cool.
It's I know what you mean.
Like Molly's, what's it called? Molly's Chambers.
Yeah,
those kind of tracks.
Yeah,
cool.
Stuff like that. Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, you're right. It's
but then
different.
it went more hip after that.
They did. Yeah, they went very commercial and everything. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like the Strokes, they were like, I feel like they're the same. I don't know. I know. Well, you know what? Would it be more like, okay, so with the Strokes and Kings of Leon, okay, Kings of Leon is for sure early like Nashville blues country, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it still has a little bit of that. What would you call it? Because the Strokes do the same shit where
it's all the straight eights and the 16s.
Yeah, that thing. It's not grooving. I mean, it is, but it's very blocky.
Yeah, it's very square.
Yeah,
and a lot of the guitar lines are very like downstroke, like eighth notes and stuff.
Yeah. So it's not Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, rock and roll blues solos.
No,
it's not that.
It's all written parts and
it is
textures and stuff.
Right,
and the voice was just it's all very much around the vocal.
You know what I noticed about Julian Casablanca?
He's got a cool voice.
Yeah, it's a great voice. I hear a lot of Lou Reed with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense?
New York.
That's what. Okay,
it's New York guys.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, so it's like a New York,
Joy Division, New York,
European, Australian. That's the difference right there.
Yeah,
kind of hip.
Yeah, getting. You
gotta have like a capital.
I think he likes. I'm pretty sure he likes Joy Division too.
Who?
Julian.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, it's very artsy. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what
I like Joy Division.
No, that shit's great. Yeah, and I know what you mean. Like, but like, where do you fall in your default mode as a guitar player and a musician? Where do you fall under your like, this is what you what do you identify with?
Like it's changed over the years. Like as I've gained more guitars and pedals and amps and stuff. Like in the last few years, I've gotten more into Fender amps. And like I've always been like a Vox Marshall guy.
Right.
At the start is Marshalls. Okay, and then I've gone to Voxes because it's clearer, like more of a clearer sound. It's more crisp.
Right.
And then I would probably fall like, I mean, I come to music for like, you know, the soulful like urge, like blues and jazz is kind of like, and soul music is what got me into it. And then like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Hendrix and stuff, like bluesy, like blues rock and stuff. But like, you know, but then I learned so much like living in Australia and like having DJ friends and producer friends and like getting to other styles of music. And so like, I'm very rooted in like a bluesy rock thing, but But then I have this other like weird like idiosyncratic like ethereal thing about me too, like where it's like Johnny Greenwood or something, where it's like effects and delays and like pitchy like textures and stuff, and like looping like Robert Fripp and stuff. So I got kind of a wide vocabulary, but stuff where I don't have to think could just be like, you know, just blocky kind of rock. But I mean bluesy like I mean, I went to the conservatorium and did jazz fusion. Can you believe it?
I can believe it.
I did a jazz fusion thing.
This is what I
loved it.
I learned a lot about you from listening to your episode with Jude Gold on No Guitar Is Safe.
No Guitar Is Safe, yeah.
Because I wanted to just kind of like get an idea, like a little bit of an idea what you guys talked about, and I was like, no shit, I didn't know you like
yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Well, my first gig was playing African music.
Your first gig?
Yeah.
African music?
Well, paid gig.
Right, okay.
In a restaurant, yeah.
Oh, no shit.
And I was like, they had sing me the intervals like do 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 do. So we'd be singing the intervals, and we got to try and figure out the chord arrangement around these key like intervals that he'd sing to me. That's how we figured songs out.
That seems hard.
And he'd sing the bass lines and stuff. But it was all kind of diatonic, so it was all like just like 1-4-5 or like, you know, simple stuff. But it was all the rhythms were very particular.
And you had to.
Yeah,
you had to figure it out then.
Yeah, so he'd sing it to like we'd rehearse and stuff, but he'd sing the riffs and stuff to me.
How did that?
Some of the best singers I've ever worked with to this day, still, yeah, South African guys.
No shit.
Yeah. They speak Zulu. They speak. Oh my God. That's how they talk.
How did? Where was this at?
In Manly.
Manly.
Yeah, Manly, Sydney.
Sydney's
super multicultural. Like we had got like tons of people from all over the world. So, they had this restaurant called Out of Africa, and they had we had I think a percussionist was from like Zimbabwe, and singing was South African, and yeah, it was awesome. They spoke Zulu to each other. It was great. And they were much older than me too. I was 18.
Right. You were 18 years
They're like
old.
early 30s and like mid 40s and stuff. And then percussionist passed away, like, you know, God bless him.
Wow.
He said something really great to me. Some old African wisdom is like, you got to shoot for the stars, because if you miss the stars, you might reach the moon. Oh. So whenever I think about Tilani, I remember him telling me that. His like fatherly advice to me as a young musician and as an individual in the world. So that was good.
That's really good. I like that. Yeah, that's really good.
So you kind of pick up along the way these interesting characters and stories and like pieces of wisdom from your elders.
Wow.
Yeah. Started early.
Wow. Oh my God. That's really good. I like just the simple fact that like something like that in your musical career.
The journey of music.
Yeah.
That's the best about music. Yes. It's a journey.
Exactly.
You go from gig to gig, and like I get like caught up on gigs, and I go, well, I wish I was still doing that gig, but then you just keep moving, and
you gotta keep moving.
Just becomes a big journey after a while, and then it's like, wow, that was great.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough years ago when I was 19, I met Dave Grohl.
Oh, cool.
And I got to talk to him for a little bit. And he gave me like a good piece of like a little bit of advice, because I told him like what I wanted to do, and he was just like, you know, when I look back, I wish I would have. Again, it's like at the time you can never appreciate at the time, right? He's like, not until you look back that I go, man, some of the best fucking times was when I was in Nirvana and we weren't big, and I'm in a van. And it's like 4 of us in there, and we don't have any money, and we're driving gig to gig, and it sucks.
It's just the adventure that you're doing.
It sucks, but it's great.
It's all working.
Right.
And it's not working, but it is working somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow it is working.
Somehow or another. Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the magic of it. It's like that space in between the two.
Yeah, and that was like the first thing he like thought of to bring up to me.
Yeah.
Maybe like as a lesson of like, you know, when it sucks, that's okay. Like it's good. Like you got to go through those like you learn from Out of Africa restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're getting thrown into the mix with something
fun.
Going like, I'm just going to be fucking doing like.
It's fun. It's all acoustic too. So it's all right hand strumming.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then if there was solo came up, you had to be good. You have to. That's how I built my timing up, was having to do a solo with no rhythm, just the bass player and percussion. Obviously, there's a lot of rhythm going on there, but you know, you got to keep it going. You know, on an acoustic.
Yeah, that's tricky.
So that helped you get some.
Goes back to what we were talking about. When you're on an acoustic, you don't have that same feeling of an amp going.
Yeah.
And giving you all that fucking noise.
Air. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about. I wanted to ask you about a lot of fucking shit.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Because we'll do this podcast for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
We'll talk about gear, talk about music, talk about rock and roll and all that shit. No. I wanted to ask about like how did you get connected with like Perry Farrell and all that stuff?
So when I came out in 2006. I was in a band called Mink.
Like the game Minky, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And
we had management and all that sort of stuff, and then we were at South by Southwest because we did a record with Sylvia Massey in Weed, California.
Who's that?
She did like Chili Peppers and like Tool. She's known for producing Tools for first couple records, and like she used to work with Prince and stuff, like engineering with Prince.
No shit.
I think she might have mixed some stuff too with him. But she's great. Sylvia's awesome. But so we did a record, and then we came down, and so we'd done the record, and we sort of got it in an RV.
Yeah.
The management got us an RV. We drove from North Cal down to Texas to play South by. We got in, and then we're trying to just figure out like where we're gonna put, like how we're gonna tour, and like who we could open for, and then like we went, and then Satellite Party was playing, and that was Perry's band with Nuno and Carl Restivo at the time, and our bass player like was really hip to all that alternative stuff, and he goes, we should go say hi to Perry and like see if we can maybe open for those guys because they're a new band.
Right.
It wasn't Jane's Addiction, so it was like we were like a new band. So I thought, well, maybe we could like figure something out because it's not like it's their baby band too. You know, obviously it's Perry's a big name, but
right.
So and then our management because now our bass player knew Nuno through like Susie Damaki or something from an Australian connection, like an Aussie rock connection.
Oh, okay.
And they had connection to Nuno or something like that, or something like along the lines of that. And we got a chance to go meet them all backstage.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah. So we had good management, and they just kind of just joined the dots, and then I think the year later, I think we got to go out and open for Satellite Party.
No shit.
So that was great. So that's how I met Perry. So I started off as an opening act with Perry.
Wow.
That's how I started with Perry.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. And then you've been working with him ever since.
And it was just really fun on the road with him. Like, you know, we got along, and like it was just sort of like a fun ride with Perry, and like he's just such an interesting, awesome guy.
Right.
And we hit it off, and then at the end of by the time that band was done, the thing was over. The band I was in, we were living in New York at the time, and then I had to kind of sort of figure out what I was going to do, and I sort of just like I was just winging it and just moved to LA because I had friends in Sherman Oaks from when I was teaching guitar back in Sydney. And they was like, you gotta come to LA. I'm like, I know, but how the hell am I gonna do that? You know, and I'm like teaching in the Manly, like playing like. I was used to work at a guitar shop called Neil's Guitars and Amps. It's like a used store. We had new and used, but we had old, like nice old, cool like SGs and old vintage 60s Strats.
Really?
That's how I figured out what JMPs were versus JCM 800s and JCM 900. Like that's where I learned all my stuff, like about guitars, and like because I was like I was working in the store like doing restrings and like demos, like a store hand, you know.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into management of the store later, but. I was a guitar teacher, but So I was what was I saying? I was teaching guitar there. Yeah. So I had a network of students around in Sydney from where I grew up.
Okay.
From like there, I started teaching when I was 16 at the store, and then so I taught for about 7 years before I went to America or anything like that. And I got into session work, and I got into bands and original work and working with DJs and like, you know, playing on people's records and playing live and doing covers. And actually one of my first cover bands was a Led Zeppelin cover band.
Was it really?
Yeah. I was underage, but we played it anyway. And that's how I got into the bow, and I had to wear a wig. It's fun though.
You got to wear a Jimmy Page 70s wig?
Pretty much. I had to do a big black wig.
Did you ever get to, I have a picture over there of him in the star. Did you ever get to wear the star pants?
No, I had like something that was kind of close to it, but not like quite. It wasn't like quite designer label stuff.
That would be fucking cool.
Fun. But yeah, so that's how I learned. I had to learn, but I was into that music anyway.
Right.
I was super into Led Zeppelin, so I was like, oh, cool, and I get to learn these cool Zeppelin songs. I'm gonna play it with these guys.
Right.
So that was fun. But no. So I had a network of clients like teaching guitar. I had a yellow Volvo to drive around to people's houses and like teach the kids guitar, like a few days a week, and then teaching the store. So I was teaching like 5 days a week or something. Anyway, so they're like, you gotta come to LA. And I was like, yeah, I would love to. And you guys, you do great here. I was like, really cool. You know, because I'd be doing like regular like residency, like just like in a bar or something. We play like R&B and rock and roll or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And like jazz and soul, just jam. Like we played like a lot of reggae stuff too. And it was like I always had a dream to go because I had a jazz teacher like in like the 11th grade. He's like, because I started getting like I kind of forced myself to learn other styles. Like I was so into like Hendrix and like the hard rock and like acid rock and like classic rock,
Right.
and blues and soul music, and I wasn't that interested in like modern 80s metal so much. Although I checked out Sabbath and I got really into Sabbath. I like really into Deep Purple, and my friends listened to Metallica and Pantera, so I really got into like Metallica and Pantera with those guys.
There you go.
And then we had like Primus and stuff like that as well. And actually, believe it or not, Sepultura. I used to listen to Sepultura.
Oh yeah.
We had Roots, and then we had Chaos AD.
No shit.
Those 2 records. So we used to listen to some heavy fucking
Right,
shit, like
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
heavy. and then like, but like for me that was heavy. But then my other heavy mates, they would listen to like Cradle of Filth and like other stuff. But which was too heavy for me.
Yeah, that's the like the bands with like the really crazy lettering, Cradle of Filth, all that stuff. For like
so that was
Behemoth.
got really heavy. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was too heavy for me. But I really liked Pantera. That was a cool groove, you know. And Metallica just had these huge guitar sounds and these massive arrangements.
Every time I go to like work out or like go for a run,
Yeah,
I listen to like Pantera, Metallica.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the bands that get me like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, I'm the biggest sucker for Sabbath. I mean, it's my favorite, and Zeppelin, you know.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I like it, you know. But you know, and so yeah. What was I saying? I got lost.
and he's wearing a Black Sabbath
Yeah,
T-shirt right
yeah,
now
yeah.
too. Who would have known?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
Wait, where were we? Oh
so
my
I
God.
was more into like the older vintagey sort of stuff, but like I
Right.
wasn't. I thought, well, I better check out like the Satriani and the Steve Vai's of the world, just because it's something different,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of like a next sort of progression
Oh yeah.
in
for
music.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I better check that out, you know.
See
So
what-
then I got really into Satch Vai and Eric Johnson and Steve Morris.
Okay, yeah.
And I kind of forced myself, and then I got really into it. I was like, these guys are monsters.
Yeah.
And then I've been fans ever since, you know. Huge Steve Vai and Satriani and Eric
Yeah.
Johnson fan, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. They're amazing, those guys.
I never knew any of that stuff.
It's super.
Never knew any of it.
I had to do it because I wanted to get into the legato and the
Yeah,
and
the
staccato,
playing
like
of
the-
it and everything. Yeah.
you know, and then later when I moved to LA, like I got more into Eddie then. Like Eddie's like usually everyone's guy, the Van Halen.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he was like the pop star, rock and roll guitar shredder, like king of shred, post Hendrix guy, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, all fair go, all credit to you.
Oh yeah, of course.
But like, it kind of made more sense to me when I moved to LA, because you're on the Sunset Strip and you go to like those rock parties and they're playing like, Running with the Devil and like,
Yep.
you know, all the great stuff. And you go, oh yeah, I get it more now that I'm here, and like everyone loves it so much. It's like it's a
feel
part of the
vibe.
land.
You feel the vibe.
It's the DNA of the land.
Yeah.
It's like that's the sound from this
It-
area.
It is.
It's like the AC/DC, because I'm from AC/DC land.
That's right.
I'm from Sydney.
Yeah.
So
First band I ever saw.
Yeah.
First rock band I ever saw at the Gund Arena in Cleveland.
Wow.
And I was like,
You saw him? Wow, that's cool.
I was 12 years old.
Huge arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was, well, check
What did they start with? Because when I saw them, they started with "You Shook Me All Night Long," which I thought was a weird opener.
Yeah, that is.
Good on them though.
I've seen shows from them where "Shook Me" is a song that's rotated either at the top of the set or
the
at the
end.
end of the set.
Yeah.
I want to say when I saw them, they
The science of
opened,
the set list of AC/DC. I
I
like
know,
it.
right?
I like it.
It's I
You're
know.
right in there.
Yeah, that's because if you think about it,
yeah.
you gotta sprinkle those. It's kind of like the same. Foo Fighters do the same thing, and like a lot of great bands do this.
Yeah.
And it's like when I first saw them, I want to say it was Back in Black, because, and I've told this story actually before on the podcast, but it was like my dad took me. I was 12 years old, and our seats were like in the nosebleeds, right? And I didn't really understand the whole rock music that I didn't. Where we grew up, it was, you know, boy bands and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all this shit. And
Whatever the commercial reach was.
exactly,
Whatever was being promoted on the radio.
And this was before, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, I don't know. It's
Before the
just,
social media.
yeah, exactly.
So you get what you're given.
pretty exactly.
Listen
That's-
to this and buy the tickets to
yeah,
this.
and that's it. That's all we knew.
That's all you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, but don't get me wrong. Like, my dad grew up listening to the
Yeah.
radio, and he had all his records and stuff like that. But they weren't like AC/DC.
But
They
you
were-
would have had like local blues bands and stuff, right? In bars and stuff, surely, or like
I
cover
mean,
bands.
this
or
is when I was like 9, 10,
Too
11
young.
years,
Too
very
young.
young, very
Yeah.
young. Before I was really exposed to
Yeah.
it. Like, we had that, but I didn't know anything about that,
Yeah.
or maybe nothing really clicked for me.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And like, so when we went to the show, it was nuts because, again, like my parents, they listened to like the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, Carly Simon, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
So you just never seen anything like it.
Exactly.
Just blew your mind.
They came, and I was just like, what the fuck? And then the bananas part about was I knew every song on the set
Wow,
list.
that's
You
cool.
know what I mean? Because it was like, oh my God, that's Highway to Hell. Oh my God, that's this song. That's this song. That's, for those about to rock. And when they come out, they'll either put Back in Black like at the end, or they open with that, which is great.
That's a good opener.
Yeah, exactly. And like
Snappy.
yeah, because I think the thing I remember about it when I told him the story was that I just remember hearing the lights go out and the crowd screaming so loud. I never heard anything that loud in my life.
Yeah, wow.
And I just, and then you hear, and the light comes down and Angus runs out to the catwalk and he tips his cap to the audience and the place erupts.
Yeah,
And then they go, tss, 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 bah, da-da-da, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, and to me, so AC/DC is that portal band that made me go, Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Foo Fighters,
Me too, man.
Nirvana. Like, it was that. Did you have a specific artist or
Angus
a band?
Angus with the SG.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still to this day obsessed with Jimi Hendrix. Like, he's like the.
Is that your?
He's like the white swan of he's like the majestic swan.
Right. That's
you know what I mean? He's like he's like the mojo.
Nobody's liked him.
He's like the mojo. Like, I don't know. He's amazing. Like, he's like there's nothing like it. But, like I got obsessed with the shape of the SG.
Really?
And I loved Angus, and I loved the sound of it. It had this bitey kind of mid-rangey thing to it.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. It's barky.
Yes.
It barks at you.
Yeah.
And I saw this dude playing one on the beach when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, he's playing the SG. Well, I didn't even know what SG was. I was like, I just like the double cutaway, and the thin body, and the big long neck. I was like, that looks cool, and it sounds cool.
Yeah.
This guy was playing Chuck Berry, and I was like, yeah. And the Gibson had this just cool, creamy, gritty sound to it. Just, and I was just like, yeah, I want that one.
I know.
but before I knew anything about anything, I remember when I walked into the guitar store for like one of the first times, and Dad goes, well, and the guy goes, which one do you like? Like, which one looks the best? And I picked out like an Ibanez type of shape when I was a kid.
Yeah, of course.
Because it looks modern. It looks like a jet engine or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, the Strat and the weird head. I didn't like the head. It's like, yeah, it's kind of weird. But then I realized later that Strat was the guy. And then I got into the SG, and then
I think the first guitar I had was a BC Rich Warlock.
Oh, right on.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's like,
but I cut my teeth on a Strat. Like like I was saying before, my best mates next to neighbor had a Strat. They had a real Strat, so it was an American Strat.
So was it the guitar, and then you were like, who plays Strats, and that's how you discovered Hendrix, or was it the other way around?
No, well, actually, because Dad had a good record collection, so he had a lot of soul music and like what did he have? Like and blues. He had a lot of blues stuff.
Oh, okay.
Dad was the blues guy. Mom was more into pop, but she had some good stuff.
Isn't that how it always goes? I love that.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Dad was the cool blues dude.
Yeah.
And then
your mom's like, we listen to Simple Minds and
like
Carly
ABBA,
Simon
like
and ABBA. Yeah.
ABBA and like whatever.
And your dad's like, no, check out fucking
Lightning Hopkins.
Yeah.
And anyway. But what really got me hooked on music was actually hearing those soul singers like Benny King and Sam Cooke.
Oh,
that was You Sand Me, Cupid, Saturday Night, The Chain Gang,
right?
All these songs, and then Benny King was like, Young Boy Blues, Stand By Me, Each Night Is Like 1,000. That's Young Boy Blues, and then just like the great stuff like that.
Really?
Spanish Harlem, I love that song.
Really?
Yeah. So that was got me, and I'd sit there and I'd sing along to him and record myself and see if I'd sounded, if I was in pitch or if I sounded good or how did I sound, or I'd be singing back and listening to myself sing those songs.
Yeah.
And I'd be in my bed. It's kind of funny. and then I had like in the second grade I listened to pop for about a year. It was like Jeremy Jordan and like Two Unlimited, I think, or stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh, Ace of Base might have come out later with
right.
Like,
okay.
It's that kind of 90s like
yeah
stuff. I had a phase for about a year. Yeah. That was one of them. Yeah. Oh, that bloody UB40 song. What was it? Red Wine. Oh my God.
I was just talking about this yesterday.
There's another one. Girl, I'm gonna make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. In a circle. In a circle.
Is that? Oh, okay.
That's another one.
Wait, I was trying to figure out what's the band that is. I confused it with UB40s. It's good-looking young cannibals.
Fine Young Cannibals.
Fine Young Cannibals.
She drives me crazy. That's another one.
That's
another one. Yeah.
I couldn't think of the name,
yeah.
and I didn't want to look it up because I was like in a discussion with somebody yesterday.
And I had heard Nirvana like on people's Walkmans, and my uncle had it, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" It's like heavy metal guitars, but the guy's like kind of like growling, screaming, but it's melodic and it's like, but it's like it's some kind of. I was like telling myself it's some kind of heavy metal.
Right.
Like I had
It's
no
super
idea.
heavy when you
Yeah,
think
I don't know.
about
It's like when I heard Offspring, I thought that was heavy metal because the guitar was so
it's
distorted.
so heavy,
As
right? And then
go.
yeah.
You know, I was like, whoa, okay.
But then when I think of Offspring, it's like it's
pop.
surf
It's like
pop,
pop,
it's
punk.
surf rock. It's
Yeah,
like
surf
California
rock,
surf
pop.
rock. That's what I think of. You
He
know
just had that big voice and those big hooks.
That is true. Yeah, it is heavier guitars, but that's also that era when guitars were super distorted,
Super distorted.
like Smashing Pumpkins.
Yep, that was another one.
You know what I mean?
Rage Against the Machine was less distorted, but they still had like enough
Isn't
gain.
that bananas? That's what I love about Rage Against the Machine and like AC/DC and Zeppelin. When you really listen to the records, you go,
Not as
it's
much
not
gain.
that distorted, but they're just playing with such balls.
It's the attitude of the playing.
Exactly.
And it's sonically how they're all fitting in together of the band in the mix.
Yes.
And a lot of it's based around the drummer too.
How do you mean?
Like Bonham is with all but drums is filling a lot of sound.
That's true. So
And
it's big. Yeah.
but
okay.
John Paul Jones is filling a lot of sound too because he can be so groovy and busy.
Right.
All
All right, so hold on. I'll back up real quick. Sorry about that. You got into all the soul singers.
Yes.
At first, that was the first.
Yeah,
like,
so soul, so
oh,
the
I'm
connection to the
were you
soul
like,
through
I'm gonna
music.
were you like, I'm gonna be a soul singer?
Well, I didn't even think about it. Just something about it.
Just something you liked.
There's
you
something
wanted
in it that just
right.
got me going.
Yeah.
And inspired me. It was inspiring. I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't ever think about, I'm going to be a singer. I didn't know what that was. You know, I didn't know
Right.
anything about that. But I had that, like what you said about AC/DC, how they came. I had a moment like that. I didn't know all the songs. Actually, when a buddy of mine took me, he goes, "Oh, dude, Ozzy Osbourne's coming. You got to come and see Ozzy." I'm thinking, okay, cool. Like just kind of playing along with it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. And I don't know. Fuck, I don't know who Ozzy Osbourne was. I'm like, who the fuck's Ozzy Osbourne? But like everyone loves it. Like, cool. Well, let's just give it a go and we'll go and check it out.
Yeah.
And it's the Entertainment Center, which is like an arena, and it was Zach Wilde.
Wow.
Mike Inez, Zach Wilde, and Randy Castillo passed away. God bless.
Yeah.
And he was on the gig, and Zach Wilde was there on the wireless, and he's just melting faces like 50 Marshall stacks on 100, you know.
The big beard and the hair and everything.
And I was like, wow, that was something. Like he was so loud he couldn't hear it.
Yeah. that feeling. I know that. Yeah. When you're a kid and you're like,
Is that loud? Like Zach, he was just so loud he couldn't hear it, but when he did a harmonic, he could hear it.
oh yeah.
And he melted faces, and he went up to like the back of the arena with the wireless and went down into like the crowd, and like the guys like,
Yeah.
like around him and stuff. Yeah. So that was like my. That was the first big rock show. That was the first. That was probably '99 or something.
Really? And you were like, I want to fucking do that shit.
Well, not even. I was just like, whoa, that's interesting. That was freaking loud. And I was just like getting my chops. I was just like, you know, you want to play and stuff, but you don't know anything about the industry, about playing live and how the business works. But you learn about playing.
Yeah.
When you're that young, you get into the playing side of it, obviously, because that's what you can do. And then things just kind of grew from there, like through the shop and like through the connections and like just from getting out there, man. You just get out there and you just get out there and do your best and work your ass off, and you meet people and you know you vibe with people, and then thing just rolls onto another, you know. But yeah, so the singers were the first, and then the coolest story was the Blues Collection. We had this subscription. I'm not sure if I might have told you, if you listen to that podcast, it's in the podcast, but we had the Blues Collection, and it had like John Lee Hooker, B.B. King, Chuck Berry, Howling Wolf, Muddy Waters, Robert Johnson, Buddy Guy, and the list goes on.
Right.
And they had like
this is your dad's record.
John Mount. No, this was like a community, an Australian or a Sydney or New South Wales thing. It might have been a British magazine, but it came into Australia as well. It's
called Blues.
It's called if you look it up, it's called the Blues Collection.
Oh, okay.
And it
I'm thinking you're talking about your dad's Blues Collection.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah, he had a great one. Yeah, he had a good one. But this took it even further because it had the magazine and it had the life bio and the story of the artist, and it tells you about like when they came up and like what labels they're with and all the stuff.
Right.
And it has like a timeline, and then But you know, it's like B.B. King and like John Lee Hooker and all these great artists, and I'm like, that was how I kind of really got into it too. I kind of did it myself, but like my dad had good taste to start with, and I just had that feeling in my heart, you know, just that soul feeling, just, you know, just connected to music and how like someone's voice can move you. Yeah. So but also what I liked about the guitar was it was so emotional, like it's so emotive, like the amount of sounds you could squeeze out of it, like bending and the vibrato and the distortion and the feedback and, you know, everything. The fun, you get so many sounds out of a guitar, you know. You know, so, and then Steve Ray Vaughan was it. that was what maybe like really like
Oh, really?
took me over the edge. Like I'd sit there and learn like the hammer-ons and the Johnny Hooker like open stuff, and that was great. And the slides, you know. And then but like when we heard Stevie Ray Vaughan doing like Voodoo Child and Scuttlebutton and all that stuff, Couldn't Stand the Weather was the record I had.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't Stand the Weather was the first TV. Then Mum went out for Father's Day, and I went with Mum to the record store, and we bought Dad. We bought Dad that. That's right. Dad had Soul to Soul on cassette, which he'd had probably before we were around, I guess. And then we went out and bought Dad's Couldn't Stand the Weather on Father's Day.
No way.
Yeah. So Stevie Ray Vaughan was a big thing in our family.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I found out later that Jimi Hendrix wrote Voodoo Child.
Yeah.
Because of
So you heard
Under Siege, the movie.
Oh.
Because I thought, oh wow, that's that song that Stevie Ray Vaughan does, and there's something else.
Wait,
it's a different
he wrote
version.
it for a movie?
No, it got licensed. It got synced in.
Oh,
it
I
got
see what
used
you
in
mean.
the.
It just got used for.
Yeah, it got used
okay.
under Siege when the big battleship goes in the shadow.
I don't think I've
and
ever
it's
seen
Voodoo
that
Child.
movie,
Yeah, watch Under Siege with Steven Seagal.
I don't think I've ever
It's
seen
got
it.
Voodoo Child in it.
The original Jimi
The
Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix version. And when
Really?
I heard that, I was like, oh, there's a whole other dirty kind of magic to it.
So you heard Voodoo Child Stevie Ray Vaughan
First.
What's that like hearing that first?
Oh well, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever heard.
Right.
But then I was like, oh. Then I went back and heard Jimmy.
And then you're like,
I was
wait,
like,
oh, that's
whoa,
the
it's
original.
a different kind of dirty magic about it. It's a dirtier magic.
Right. It's total. It's yeah.
There's something very magic about it.
Because I think it's more common that people hear Voodoo Child Hendrix first.
Yeah.
That's more common.
Yeah, being in Australia, I guess like the 80s, growing up in the 80s.
Okay. Is that
Because the 80s blues, the blues 80s, Stevie
Ray Vaughan did a lot of covers, right?
Yeah.
He would cover people from time to time.
Yeah, a lot of the blues guys do covers.
Yeah.
And like, you know, but because it's the 80s, Stevie was the blues guy in the 80s, right?
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I guess that was kind of the thing. But you know, coming full circle and then learning about Jimmy later, and then like kind of really getting into Jimmy in like the 5th grade, I'd say maybe.
Mm-hmm.
6th grade, 5th grade. Yeah. Started because I'd have guys at
These
school
are-
would have the
these-
records. They're like,
these
"Hey,
are
you want to buy my early experience record? Yeah, I'll buy it." You know,
No
like
shit.
yeah, he hit the CD. He goes, "I'll sell it to you." Yeah, I'll buy it.
Right.
And then I remember a dude playing me like Access Bold as Love on our Walkman, and like hearing that first track where like he's
Ooh.
smashing the amps and stuff, and they have
Yeah.
that weird radio interview.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what is this? And I'm like a kid in the 6th grade. And then like Woodstock was what took it over the edge. Woodstock freaked me out. Like
The whole Hendrix
yeah,
performance with that
the
shit.
Voodoo Child Woodstock's insane.
Yeah.
And the whole improvisation at the end, and like
There's nothing like it.
Isabella, and like, you know,
Yeah.
Jam Packed the House and Fire. That's one of my favorite versions of Fire.
Oh,
Woodstock,
it's
so good.
yeah.
Like screaming solo.
Yeah.
Like, it's ferocious. It's so fast and screaming. It's just like, it gives me goosebumps talking
Yeah.
about it.
When I've seen you do it at Sayers, it's fucking bananas.
Oh,
you do
I
such a
tried.
good
I've
job.
tried.
You guys do such a good job. I was telling somebody the other day, like, you do have, like, out of a lot of guitar players that I met, like, that whole Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, like, you play the SGs, you play the Les Pauls, you play, like, the Jags or the Jazzes or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, but I'm like, you're, like,
I learned on a Strat.
I was going to say, so there you go. That's probably where you're the most, like, comfortable. But, yeah, you do such a good job of, like, capturing, and that's what we have to do as guitar players.
A lot of time.
A lot of time to
A lot of love and passion and time, and just into, like, especially in those early days of the guitar store, because when a good 60s Strat came in or whatever, it's like, oh, cool, that's what they should sound like. Or
Yeah.
it had a nice twin their eyes or something. So to like, you just knowing
Yeah.
your gear and like, you know, just like the whole thing. It's just like less gain, turn it up.
Right.
And if you want that sustained step on a fuzz,
Yeah.
and like and using all this treble boost with the wire and like a harmonics of the wire and like getting in front
Well,
of moving
and
around in front of the amp, pushing the air.
What you said, it's a very
Yeah.
emotional thing because
Yeah.
that's what always helps me with playing live
Yeah.
is feeling that emotion
How you
of
attack it.
you have to attack, and you're like, you know what, I'm really pissed off.
Yeah.
So the more you get
Yeah.
pissed or emotional about it, the better you end up playing.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not worried about technique anymore. You're not
Yeah.
worried about, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes you
Like,
just-
so you
sometimes-
have to get yourself into that mode,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, then it's just like you're on autopilot.
Yeah, music just starts happening. And
And that's
sometimes
the
you
great-
just think of a
it's-
passage and you go, well, did I make it? And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Sure.
And you're not, it's just a strain of consciousness. It's not really a thought. It just kind of blurts it out.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you know, I hope it was good. And like sometimes it's really great, and sometimes it's not as good as the others. Oh, that was a good one. And
Right.
no, that was terrible.
Yeah. That's why, well, I mean, for me as a musician or as a guitar player, that was always like a hard thing to do is to go the opposite route because like I grew up with the similar musical influences, but also we had a strong, what do we listen to in Ohio? What was big was also so many people were really cool and hip to classic punk rock and
Yes.
modern punk rock and
Yeah.
stuff. So and I've had one of the most nicest compliments I ever got was from like this jazz fusion guitar player once after I did a jam. And we did like a fucking Ramones song or a Sex Pistols song.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, how do you fucking play like that?
Yeah.
And I saw this, and this guy was like, he had like
Get
20, he had like 20 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was amazing.
Yeah.
Just an amazing musician. Way better than I'll ever be. But he goes, I really just like the way you fucking, bam! Like you fucking hit it.
Yeah.
Like, and he go, it's one of those things that you kind of can't teach.
Yeah, yeah. It's an attitude.
It's an attitude
It's
that
an aggression.
you either have it in you or you don't, depending. And that's what that punk
Well,
rock.
and that's like the rock thing too.
Yeah,
like the
same thing.
the loud barking rock guitar thing. It's like an attitude thing.
Yeah, you got to throw yourself into it and kind of
Yeah.
like really feel it.
It's loud. It's mid rangey. It's fucking
yeah.
biting. It's tearing your head off. you
Yeah,
know?
and it's different than like especially like with like heavy metal. I teach my students this all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you want to play rock, back off the gain and hit it harder.
Yeah.
If you want to play metal, it's like there's so much gain and
Yeah.
the mids are scooped
Yeah.
to where
Turn the bass up.
you can relax. Because you got to play faster. You
Yeah.
got to play that certain kind of sound. So,
Yeah.
but that's what I like about it. That's
Yeah.
kind of like you got to, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's like coming from those backgrounds. And
Yeah.
I think my favorite is just playing 3 chords and going and hitting it so hard I knock it out of tune.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like the open canvas thing too. Like if someone goes, let's just play, and like you don't know what's gonna happen, and just see what you can create. That could be fun.
That's
sometimes.
great.
If you're with great players, that could be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a bit monotonous if it's going nowhere, obviously. But you know,
Well, it's chemistry.
yeah, it's like a chemistry. Exactly.
You can put the
You notice
greatest
that?
musicians in the world together, and they may not be able to come up with something good.
And you'll be inspired by like something that the drummer is doing. You know, rhythmically, that's kind of opening up a certain pocket for you to kind of get into.
Right.
You know, it could be rhythmically or like, you know, just inspires you to play something
that
different.
was the thing I noticed about you guys. You guys. I don't know what that is. Is that East Coast or my Ohio? Hey, you guys. Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
You know, not y'all. Not like from the South. I'm going like, you guys did this. It was when I first moved here, as I lived right around the corner from Sayers.
Did you?
I did.
Wow.
And I remember seeing I remember seeing you guys play when the stage was on the other side.
That's right.
And that's the other thing too and I've been fortunate enough to fill in for you a bunch, fill in for Rod Castro.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think the biggest thing, not only is it the number one thing I thought about and for those of you listening out there, and you can probably check shit out online, the Sayers House band is that you guys have such a good chemistry.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, like a few different rotating members here and there, but like.
Yeah, Rosen keeps it fresh.
Yeah. Rosen, Rod, you, and like Mike Bennett. I'm like, that chemistry is, and I've seen you guys on nights where you're just like a fucking machine.
What's type it loose? So because it's like
exactly
because everyone like Mike Bennett, he's a rock drummer,
right?
But he's super clinical. He can sit there and read a chart.
Oh yeah,
like
He's
note for
the
note.
whole
Like you give him a
fucking
chart, he
time.
read a chart. But he's got this great rock feel.
Yeah,
and you can hit you can play rock. He's a rock drummer, you know.
Yeah.
But but Nick, you know, coming from the Cal Arts background. Like
yeah.
classical and jazz and stuff, like he's like a happening upright jazz player. You know?
Yeah.
You know, and a great musical director and like all that sort of stuff, and just a good natural feel for music, and like, you know, just like taking it out of the pop realm and just totally taking it out into like a jazz jam or like something that's totally open,
right?
With those kind of players, and then coming back into the whatever. That was a great thing about that. Kept it fresh.
And that's the thing. Like when you guys do that stuff, and that's like the thing. Like I try to tell people about, like we would do these jams or these things like at Sayers where we're playing covers, we're playing artists' originals who are like from LA or they're in town or whatever like that. But then also there's a point in the night where you're just like, because I remember when I really learned what it was you guys were doing was when I was on stage. I was probably filling in for you, and we're playing like some straight down the pike pop song.
Yeah.
And then it just went off the rails. And I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
and just go with it.
And you go with it. And you
just listen and go with it.
Just listen
and find out where you fit in.
Yes.
And usually the drums are going to be hitting a lot of cymbals, and someone's already going to be soloing probably.
But to me, that was the coolest part about it.
And Rosen will start walking, just kidding, or like playing around a bit.
It's that controlled chaos.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's going, and then finally, and then it snaps right back into play.
That's very much a live experience thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And that's what sucks about what's going on now, and that visceral feeling of the way the club smells, the way people smell.
What's the human connection, isn't it?
It's the human, and everybody's kind of coming in and packing in, and it's just a vibe that you get. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was always like, that's what's so fucking cool about being here.
Yeah.
And doing this kind of shit, or just watching people, because then you can take a song, like, what's a good example? I can't think right. What's a good example of a song that you guys, like a staple song that you kind of like flipped?
Oh, like they might do like they completely flipped like that Beyonce song.
Yeah, Halo or
well, that was one of them. But no,
they did Sex on Fire. Like
what was that one? It might have been a Rihanna song. Love, what's it called? Drunken Love.
Drunken Love.
That was completely revamped. They didn't even sound anything like
yeah,
it. Like stuff like that was completely reimagined. And what else did we do that, like, you know? Yeah, there's this. It's an arrangement thing. Nick was like a genius live arranger. Like he just like conducting it, you know.
Oh, and that's how I had to learn really quickly. Like
the builds. It's all about the builds.
We're about the builds. Knowing when to stop.
Knowing when to stop. Knowing when not to play.
Yeah.
You know, just fitting in and just listening. Like, it's totally listening.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one great thing I loved. I always looked at it as like, because I grew up in the school of like, we're getting on stage, we're getting fucking hammered, like, you know. And but when you're doing something like that, it's different because it's like almost like a different mentality, because it's like you're like, you got to be on your toes, you got to be ready, and you got to be like, our job is to make people have fun. Yeah. Even if you're not necessarily having fun. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. So when you're doing something like that, it's a very, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you're just like, I want to get really good at
making that work.
Doing
that thing and making that thing great.
Exactly, yeah.
It takes time too, because like, you know, because you have all these sort of, well, not everyone does, but I did. Like, you have sort of certain psychological barriers, you know, because you have a certain thing about how you want to do things or how you hear things, but like, you know, in certain situations, that's not what's happening. So you just got to kind of get in there and do what's right for the thing, you know. Right, exactly. Yeah. No, that's a really great way of putting it, especially with like the psychological part, because that's what it's challenging at first, isn't it? It's yeah, because well, I mean, you come from Ohio or you've come from Australia, and you probably think, oh, I'm hot shit, and I know exactly what I want to do, and then you get here or you get to New York or you get wherever, and then you're like, it's like, get in line, buddy. Yeah. And it's like 100,000 of you here, okay? Exactly, so you're lucky to be here, pal. And you got to roll it, and then you start to change, and then you start to adapt. You adapt to it, yeah. You then you get better. You get better. Mm-hmm. And yeah, a lot of it's that's what's great about it. That's kind of why I wanted to come to America, because you know, it's the home of the jazz and blues. It's a cultural thing. It's like a reactionary. It's like it's so deep. It's so deep, man. Mm-hmm. Like the music thing in America, especially where you're from in America. Yeah. Absolutely. And I learned that a lot too, again, with like rhythm of being a musician. Yeah. I was like, wow, a fucking drummer from Boston and a drummer from California and a drummer from New Orleans is not the same fucking drummer. Like, they'll play a same beat and it sounds nothing alike. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. Yeah, and you're like, that's so, and that's what, like, you can't, to those things, that's, to me, I go, you can't teach that. That's you were born into that. Yeah, that's the cultural thing about it. It's like it's the you know, it's a reactionary thing too. It's like, you know, I just wish expression. I wish I had that Southern chop. Yeah. That, you know, that feel. I don't have that. Well, that's what like, you know, when I was in school, I did big band, you know, so we'd read charts and stuff. And you like the orchestra band, you mean? Yeah, I did like the big, like the horns, and I was doing the grand, like the Freddie Green, like big band comping. Oh, okay. Like playing the seventh chords and the three note major seven and the dominant seventh chords. Yeah, like, gotcha. Okay. Like, you know, and like, so like it's kind of interesting learning that kind of style early, and like you just get put in front of it, but you don't realize there's like a whole background of like. And when you said psychologically, you got to think differently. Yeah, but like then I was like, yeah, I don't want to sit here and be around trumpets and horns, really. But you know, and then I got into it. Then I really got into Miles Davis, and you know, I don't think the same way about trumpets and horns now. But you know, because my brother played trumpet. But it got me into Miles Davis. So you're like, cool. I'm playing guitar, motherfucker. It's like, chicks dig guitar. I'm gonna play trumpet. Yeah, like, okay, cool. But then you listen to a motherfucker like Miles Davis, you go, whoa. Wow, shit. Yeah. If you can make any instrument, you can be just a badass or whatever. Chet Baker's great too. Who? Chet Baker. Check out Chet Baker. Chet Baker. He's got a great record because Chet Baker sings. You want to hear that? I think I know what you're talking about, but I'll have to. My funny Valentine. He's got this really soft, sultry voice. I'll have to check that out. Kind of sounds like a female. Really? But it's an interesting androgynous voice. I'll have to check this out. It's really interesting. I'm sure I probably have heard, really, but I can't recall right now. Yeah, Chet Baker. I know, classic. But anyway,
Yeah, that's the cool thing about music. There's so much that you can learn from other people to go, dude,
Yeah.
listen to this, check
But
this
but
shit
anyway,
out.
so I somehow magically ended up here through the music business. But like I was always like,
We got way off track, sorry.
I was always like, well, if I go to America, I'll be in like a huge pond of fish with way more people better than me. It'll kick me in the ass. It'll bring me up. Like I came here to like be challenged and to like step it up and like to like work on my chops really.
Right.
And that was the great thing, and also because I was such a huge soul blues fan,
Yeah.
jazz blues. That's a huge part of my thing.
And you just
Because it's the feeling of music, it's like feeling that in your soul,
Mm-hmm.
and the blues and stuff. But that's what's cool about America. It's as sad as like the whole history of it is. Like it's a beautiful thing came out of it was the music, the expression.
True. Yeah.
So the whole thing was my jazz teacher was like, well, you got to go to Berklee College of Music. Because like back when my student was going, oh, you got to come to LA. And I'm thinking, yeah, I would love to, but how am I going to do that? And then the guy was like, well, then the next step was like I had lessons with this jazz guy, this crazy George Benson, like Charlie Christian kind of a freak, kind of Pat Metheny kind of a guy, Pat Martino, hardcore jazz kid.
Right.
Taught me a lot of jazz stuff, which is very valuable to this day. So glad I did that. He was the guy who put the whole America thing in my head as far as like a feasible way. Like this is a way you could do it. Go to Berklee College of Music because you like all these Steve Vai kind of players too. You're probably not going to be like a straight jazz guy. You like that. You're interested in it, and you're interested in taking your harmony and you like your music theory further. So,
Right. Yeah.
but you're kind of like a rock guy. You like the blues and the rock. So like, I know the place you should go is probably Berklee College of Music. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, well, I'm going to listen to him because you're a motherfucker guitar player and I want to play like you. So I'm going to do that. So he inspired me. So then I was on a mission from then on. And then I did the whole like Berklee scholarship world tour thing where they come around and you go audition.
Oh, okay.
And I sent the tapes in and I got scholarships to Berklee. But even then, it was so expensive to do it. It just wasn't possible. It was just like, how am I going to do that? But anyway, so I ended up in a gig anyway. It took me there. And then in the long run. So it kind of worked out magically. But it wasn't how I thought it was going to be. It ended up being like that anyway, which is like a blessing in disguise kind of.
Right.
And I ended up meeting a lot of the Berklee guys along the way.
Oh.
It's like, I'm thinking, you just came out of Berklee and you're doing this gig. So I didn't go to Berklee and you're on the gig. So if I went to Berklee, I'd still be doing this gig. So I guess I didn't need to go to Berklee. But like, the thing is, you can do some great. You make great contacts.
Right.
You make great knowledge there, and you probably like make amazing skills, especially in production and stuff.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
You'd be definitely good for that.
Yeah. No, but that's
If you're gonna be a player, you just get out and play.
Well, and that's a good lesson for you as a musician to be like, you didn't stop and give up because you couldn't make Berklee happen. You just found a different route.
Yeah, and it wasn't jazz; it was like rock music.
Yeah,
because I like got up to like a certain level, and like I got really into jazz and like modern jazz and like Pat Metheny and like Yellow Jackets. That's what they were teaching us, and John Coltrane and stuff. And I was like, you get to a certain high level of vocabulary. It's like more like college level. Like you learn, it takes a bit step further outside the blues. It goes into jazz. You got more changes. There's more notes to deal with. There's like the harmony gets extended. Yeah. And there's all sorts of there's intuitive things. There's rhythmic things. There's melodic things. And there's all sorts of things going on. And then then of course the gig that gets you over to America is just like it's just like a riff rock gig. It's just rock.
Right. Yeah.
So then the gig is all right. Well, it's not what I thought I was. I'm not gonna be John Scofield, but maybe I could just make it sound good. So then just get heaps into pedals and like heaps into getting the sounds good, and like just making the sounds sound really good. And then I was getting off on that. Let's just sonically make it sound great.
Right.
It's not really it was fun. It's still fun though.
Yeah.
Playing a rock band and going to America.
I feel like my theory that I've noticed, and I could be wrong on this, is a loose theory, but a lot of the guys who are chatty Cathys like myself, a lot of guys that are like where I grew up, it was like we played music that was like screaming into microphones and just playing 3 chords. And then it's like I noticed like all the guys who are like really like prolific jazz guys are like the quietest, non-talkative person. Yeah. But then when they put the guitar on, they're like, boop.
It all comes out.
It comes out there that way. Yeah. See what I mean? Like it's got a balance.
Yep. Yeah,
because like I would see some guy, like, and I'd be like, he's like, I play guitar, and I'd be like, you do? And I'm sitting here, Black Sabbath T-shirt, holes in my jeans, and long hair, and he goes, yeah, let me see that real quick, and he would go, and I'd be like, what the fuck did you just do?
But you love it,
right? Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
I wanted to ask you one more thing before I let you get going in here.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold you up too long. And
Well, this is going pretty well.
I think it's going.
Time's ticking fast.
Would you say it's going well?
It's
Good.
going well because time. It doesn't feel like I've been here for that long, and I'm not bored.
No, it's been going
good.
by. No, I know that's the.
How long have it been going? Like an hour?
Almost an hour and a half now.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, you see that's what I'm saying.
Good job.
There we go. Hell
Well, that
yeah.
was fun.
I know. No, it's great.
Yeah, so
that's
me
the
up.
one thing I love about this is that people will think, no way, an hour and a half. How am I gonna? And I go watch. It goes by quick. Like
it does.
it goes by quick.
Jude was like 2.5 hours.
That's right. Yeah.
That went by like boom.
But it goes by fast.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Yeah, that's what I love. And well, also, again, this is just another way to kind of go. Well, let me get to know Nick a little bit better. Let me talk about. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah,
like,
man.
you know what I mean? Why not?
Yeah, dude.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you about too was, because I'm just curious, because this is probably one of my most favorite, fascinating frontmen I've ever seen. You've worked with Scott Weiland.
Yeah, man.
And
Wow.
I just kind of want to know because, I mean, I grew up, I loved like Stone Temple Pilots, and I love like Guns N' Roses and Slash, and then they did Velvet Revolver.
Yeah, man.
And I remember it's still into my head. Like as far as my top 5 frontmen performers, Scott Weiland is definitely just one of the most like
Monster.
mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Like he's not a human being he was not a human being on stage.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing a performance of them. It might have been, I think it was Stone Temple Pilots, and I can't remember what video this is. And I'm sure it's on YouTube. And they're playing a big festival, and there's a big catwalk on the stage.
Oh, is it the Rolling Rock one?
Maybe.
It's
Because
probably
he's got a shaved he's got a mohawk,
Is it? He's got the dyed hair.
dyed mohawk,
It could be Rolling Rock.
probably, and he's got these big like glove things on. He's
I
got
think
no
it's Rolling
shirt,
Rock. It's killer,
mohawk,
that one.
and he's just out on the stage. He's got the eyeline, and I watched this just
At
going
the
like,
peak. At the peak.
I'm like, this guy's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I just was curious of like, what was it like working with him?
Oh, I love
and
Scott.
and being around that kind of like music environment.
Well,
of like,
well, the cool thing, Scott was like, here's the thing, like, I was a VR fan, man.
yeah,
Because I was in London in 2003 and I was just on a trip with my friend. We just set off and we went around the world just for the hell of it, like on his credit card. I was like, sure, let's do it. I go, can I pay you later? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'll do it. He goes, you want to come with me? I go, I haven't got any money, dude. What are you talking about? He goes, well, we'll just put on my credit card and we'll just go do it. I was like, okay. So anyway,
man, I made the wrong friends in high school.
So we're in London and Contraband came down and like here was the VR, here was the Slash, the Guns N' Roses guy.
Yeah,
I was the Hendrix, Steve Ray Vaughan, like Led Zeppelin guy.
Oh, okay.
But then I got really into Slash later too. Like I love Slash. But yeah, and he was the guy showing me the VR stuff.
No shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was like, well, what's this? You know, well, whatever. Let's have whatever. Let's check it out. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like it's like basically like GNR with a different singer almost.
Yeah.
And I'm
pretty
like,
much.
okay, cool. And then like so it's Slash, Duff, Sorum, and Kushner, which was
Dave
he was
Kushner.
the fourth guy.
Yeah.
Well, the of the band backline, and which I didn't know much about him at first, but then was it what Wasted Youth and like
Was it?
some bands around here. I think.
Yeah. I know the only thing I know about Kushner is that him and Slash went way back.
Yeah, he's like I think
They're like old friends or
he
something.
must have been
that.
like an
I
LA
think that's
guy.
right. I
He
think
must be a
that's-
local LA guy.
I think he's an LA guy. Yeah.
Must be, yeah.
Something like
No,
that.
did he play like Suicidal Tendencies or like
Did he?
Wasted Youth or something?
Oh, I don't know
Like
that.
punk, like bands around LA. But
I could look it up right now on the iPad.
yeah. And,
I don't have Young Jamie.
VR came into the Horton Pavilion
Really?
in Sydney, and I went and saw that with my buddy, my drummer buddy. He goes, let's go watch him. Because he loves Sorum. He's like, hey, what's Sorum? I love the Slash. Go watch him.
Right.
And Scott was like a standout. Like, so I saw Scott that night. I was like, I didn't know much about it, you know?
Right.
And like, he's kind of like Bowie, sort of. He's like this Bowie kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like he's got a, like, you know, he's cool. And he had the microphone and stuff. But and then I found out later that like I'd heard all those SDP songs. They came back because when I had to learn the stuff, I was like, oh, I remember that song.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those big bands. It was so big. It was just like, yeah, that was the thing. It was like I was listening to like Sam Cooke and old music, and I wasn't paying attention to like radio rock so much at the time when it came out.
Right.
So I wasn't even like that aware of SDP for a long time until probably like even like, yeah, obviously of course when I was a kid they had by that time the Unplugged record was big.
Oh yeah.
So that was when they kind of caught my attention. It was like Plush and that kind of stuff. And it was the acoustic MT Unplugged series. Because remember they did Kiss, they did Nirvana, they did SDP.
Mm-hmm.
I think Neil Young, no, whatever it was.
They've done a
bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. And I heard Vaseline once on the road with Mink in like 2007. I was like, oh man, because I'd done a few records by that point. I'd learned more about production and tones and like guitars and like different smaller amps and like that's like a really small amp apparently on that record. The tone's so great.
Yeah,
because they'll get into like some old 60s amps and stuff. Because like the core record's really heavy. It's like I think it's got like the power amp and it's got like the Marshall power, like he's got the big 412 cabs and stuff. But I think he's running like a power amp section with a preamp, and it's all like more really high tech Bradshaw kind of rig.
Okay, yeah.
That I think like that by the third record or like that it went on, like they kind of went more into those organic like 60s kind of sounds. Like you got like
Is that Cracker Man? No.
What's it called again?
Which one is that one? What song am I? What is
Nothing's
that?
for free. Away, boy. Nothing's for free. But anyway,
Maybe it's Nothing's for free.
That's so terrible.
I can't think of what. I know what song you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
But anyway, like this, like this really like just like chimey, like telly kind of sounding stuff. Almost,
Yeah.
But
is that the same? What's the Interstate on and Plush? What are those?
I know that Scott's favorite was Purple. He loved the Purple.
Yeah.
He loved Purple record.
Yeah. It's fucking. all those songs. I love playing.
Meat Plow is so fun, dude.
Meat Plow.
Meat Plow is really fun.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's great.
Do I know that one?
Down, super heavy.
Yeah.
You
Well,
got
also
those pictures of everything.
Oh, I think I know what song you're talking about.
Me down. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I know that.
The brother man and he the high.
Oh my god.
Great song.
I gotta listen to that.
Really cool.
I gotta listen to
So
that again.
different.
I know what you mean by Stone Temple Pilots. I go off from them for a while and then I come back and I go, oh yeah, that fucking song.
So they were earlier.
Anyway,
so I was still a kid by the time like freaking the Unplugged thing came out. So they weren't really on my radar so much, but VR was because of Slash and that, and I love that. And they had such big songs. They had like Slither. They had like
Fall to Pieces.
Fall to Pieces.
Sucker
What an
Train
amazing
Blues.
song.
Yeah. They knocked it out. That whole record is really, really, really good.
Yeah, man.
There's something, that energy in that Contraband record.
Yeah.
Even a song that's like, let's say something that's like not. What I found really comforting and surprising about living out here in LA was meeting so many musicians and singers who were like, do you know Sucker Train Blues?
Yeah.
Do you know Big Machine?
Yeah, I love
and
that.
I go, they like it too?
Yeah. So that's what I felt.
Because
the Rockland.
It's almost
it's Rockland.
It's almost like they're hits, but they're not hits. But they're hits with us.
The rock fans. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I was just like, that's anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's, the VR thing was kind of got me into Scott, and because it had that thing, and I was a Sorum fan too because we used to watch those drum solos in the Tokyo Dome with Slash doing the Godfather and stuff, and the Duff solo, the bass solo. The drums. So that's how we got into those guys.
I remember watching that. I bought that DVD at like a Walmart, and this is what sorry, real quick. I bought that DVD that night at Walmart because it was part 1 and part 2. Yeah. Or I don't think
That's
I caught.
right. That's right.
Yeah, right.
Those
and
two,
I don't think I caught that there was a part 2. And then like I'm watching it, and then it ends, and I'm like, where the fuck is Paradise City and Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child? And I go, part 1. So I got back in my car at like 3 a.m. and went to Walmart and bought part 2. Came anyway. Yeah.
Was it that Use Illusion tour? Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So that I'm with you on that. I know that whole concert.
So then I sort of got involved with more people in the rock scene around in LA and stuff, and like Matt Sorum and Cherie Curry and stuff, and then that was kind of bringing me into like a classic rock thing. Yeah. Like before James was a bit later, like later 80s stuff, which is more alternative kind of. Right. Yeah. But like that Runaway sound was like a decade earlier, like that Runaways thing with Cherie. So working with.
You mean like the band The Runaways, or?
Yeah, because Cherie Curry was the singer from the Runaways, and there's a gig I've been working with Cherie now for 10 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I did a couple records with her. I did one with Sorum, and we did one with Kim Fowley, and there was and one with Kenny Laguna as well. Like a few with Kenny. A few songs with Kenny, and Blackout put out the Sorum one, and then there's a few other ones. That's I did the.
That's fucking rad.
She did one with Brie Darling as well recently, and then we did that Kim Fowley one. But yeah, so the whole Matt thing was kind of like connected. Yeah. Okay. Because of the VR thing. So I think that's kind of how it kind of all sort of might have come about. Because I'd been working with Cherie, and certain people around that camp were with like in the Matt VR world, and I got a call like years later from the guy who was working production with Matt, who was on the Cherie record, doing production, content stuff, and he worked for VR. He was like the guy, but like a part of the VR team.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like I think like a management or production or like something like that, and just like the band's best buddy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So here's the guy that called me because you want to try it for Scott.
No shit.
Because my buddy Mike Avenin was doing the gig.
What year is this?
15.
2015. Okay.
Yeah. Because my buddy Mike Avenin doing it the year before. I think it might have been 2014.
Okay.
When Scott did that Nokia Theatre gig, I think they did.
Okay.
Did they open for like?
And this is Scott Weiland and the Wildabouts.
Yeah, they might have
same project or whatever.
Yeah, he might have opened for like a big rock band. They might have opened. I can't remember who it was, but I think they did this Nokia Theatre thing or some big thing down in LA. And I was like, oh, Mike is in the gig. I was thinking, fuck, that'd be a really fun thing to do.
Right.
With not even thinking about it. And then a year later, I get a call, come audition, and I did the audition and got the gig, and I was like, oh wow.
No shit.
But yeah, no. So Scott was so I did the thing and went down there, and then I thought I'll leave it for a few days, and then I thought we'll see if they call, and then I thought, well, I better just check in because I knew the guy. Called me, how's it going? He goes, oh well, you're it so far. So you want to come back down to another one? Sure. And then they came back and did it, and they gave me the gig.
Good thing you called.
That's right. If I hadn't called, I probably wouldn't have got that gig. So it's a good thing.
No
I called.
shit.
Because I guess it showed
You
interest.
hear that, ladies and gentlemen? I would never call.
Yeah. Well,
I
it
don't think I
depends on the
would-
dynamic of the relationship.
That's true.
So like, I felt comfortable
Yeah.
with that guy because I've known him already for a few years. But yeah, if it was
You can give a guy like that a call.
yeah, and he's a super cool dude.
Because typically, you wouldn't.
No.
Usually, you just no news means you don't.
Yeah,
You
but
didn't
something
get the
was
gig.
telling me like maybe just check in. It was like a 50-50, like either don't check
So
in,
they
forget about it, or
they
check
invite
in.
you to come down to audition
Yeah.
for the band.
At
And
the
what do you?
Lavish, at Lavish at the Burbank studio.
Oh, okay. Lavish Studios.
The old studio, yeah.
Okay.
It's
And
not,
are
not
they?
there anymore, but yeah,
Oh, it's where was that at?
but in Burbank, yeah.
I was in Burbank. Okay. And you come in and you play. What do you play?
There's Joe Castillo.
Who?
There's Joe Castillo on the drums.
Joe Castillo.
Yeah, played the Queens of the Stone Age,
Oh,
Danzig.
that's right. Yeah.
Glenn, and like freaking badass. Like this guy's like having a fist fight with the drum kit, and it sounds like John Bonham, like punk rock John Bonham. It's got this like
shit.
amazing swing and feel to it, but he's hitting the fuck out of it. But
Wow.
it's dancing. It's like whoa, that's such an insanely unique groove.
Wow.
It's a hardcore punk rock groove, but it's
Yeah.
it's got this cool swing about like Bonham looseness, this
Right.
loose Bonhamness.
But you,
But
I like
you
that.
can dance to it. This guy makes you dance. It's like this
Right.
guy's a cheat. Like
Oh,
fucking
that's-
Joey Castillo, man. What a great rock drummer, man.
I like how
fucking
you said.
great.
I like that expression. It sounds like he's having a fist fight with the drum set.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
That's
just-
amazing.
He's taking it out in the drums.
Right.
Yeah, he's hitting
exactly.
so hard.
So he was playing with Scott.
Yeah, they were buddies, I think, from like just back in the punk days or something like that. And
Wow.
then yeah, he got in there. That was great. Great
you-
thing for having Scott. Got to have him in there. And
And
then,
you came down and played what? What'd you guys play?
it was like Vaseline, a couple of Wildabouts tunes like Mudzilla and like I think like maybe Amethyst or something like that.
What's it like going in and playing in an audition a hit song?
That is a fun buzz because you know it so well and everyone knows it. You just stoked that you get to do it. I guess
That's it, because it's you. It's not you're
Yeah.
not playing along to a track.
Well, you wanna be
you're not
conf-
playing with a cover band. You're playing with the fucking guy.
yeah. I mean, it's
So
like
what is that? Are you like going all right? Like,
well, yeah. You just make sure you really know it. And make
Sure, of
if
course,
you're
yeah.
feeling it, it's even better if you're feeling
Because
it.
I know as a guitar player, we're very touchy to those little minute
yeah,
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that psychological thing you need to go. You know what?
Well, the challenge of that song was like the chord, the intro on the chord. It's like, whoa,
Mhm.
it's a fusion chord. It's like a 13 sharp 11 or
yeah,
something.
it's like I can't
a
think
trippy
of,
chord.
It is, yeah. Right when you get out of
Yeah,
it.
so that was that was an interesting thing because I was like, wow, these guys have got these cool like fusion-y-ish
Yeah.
chords, but like these great grooves and
That's to me always the fascinating thing that I ask people all the time, especially like with somebody like we know, like Walter. You know that he's filled in at Sayers, and I asked him because
I love Walter. You know,
he's so great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's great,
He's
yeah.
so great.
I love Walter.
And I just like first thing I asked him one time was because I knew he played with Survivor, and when I was like, "What's it like the first time you go?" Ding 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 ding. But for real though.
Oh, he did guitar in that one.
Yeah, he did guitar on that
tour
gig.
or something.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When you go in to play for Scott Weiland, you're playing these classic
Yeah.
songs, and are you just like,
Yeah.
all right, fucking
Yeah, you just go in there and throw down and just
Throw it
do your
down.
best, you know.
Yeah.
And then you obviously want to make sure you got your sound right.
get it to make it feel.
I'll always try and maybe bring a head or something at the very least, or have a pedal that I'm comfortable with, so I know I'm comfortable.
Right.
So I can get my thing going, because sometimes you can get let down if you've got some kind of hideous situation where you might be having to, like, what happens if you got to go to an audition and it's just a Fender Twin and there's nothing,
and it doesn't give you that same,
and you haven't got the tone or anything. Yes, you got to like just be.
Right.
I don't know. I'm like super like.
But that's smart. Like you have your default. You're like, bring a head and bring a pedal that I know.
Yeah, I can get my thing on.
I
get the groove on.
At the foundation, so you're comfortable. That's a good audition
get
tip.
a vibe
That's
going.
a good audition tip.
If they can
you're not relying on them. To hope that they have good equipment.
Sometimes they might do that. Sometimes they might make you do that though.
What, to bring your own shit?
No, to like just do what they've got.
Oh. Yeah, no, I guess. Well, because I mean, I've done auditions where that's like, it's funny that you pointed out, because that's always used to bother me. Because I mean, getting around town with an amp is a bitch.
Yeah.
But when you hook up to an amp that's not your tone and not your thing, and it can throw you off maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, after a while, like, you know, when you get into backline situations and you're just throwing whatever they can at you, then you get like reissue amps anyway, so you kind of just got to make it sound good anyway. So after a while, it's really up to your fingers anyway.
Oh yeah,
and
for
your
sure.
Dynamics and stuff. Yeah. And having that experience and that mindset, and just that knowledge ahead of time, after you've done that so many times, where the first few times it's whoa the amp, but after a while you're just like, whatever, we're gonna make it happen.
You just go with it.
I mean, one time I was on road and we got given a Line 6 Spider, you know, at a rock gig, and we just had to make it work. And thank God it had a Celestion in it. So I was relying on a Celestion to push out a rock band. Thank God it had a Celestion, because it actually pushed out some kind of a tone. You know?
Oh shit, that's so funny.
So yeah, I'm starting to get over that in the last. You know.
Do you feel like I feel like I went through a wave, maybe all musicians do, where you're not thinking about that stuff so much, and it doesn't hinder you, and then all of a sudden you start overthinking that shit, and it starts to hinder. You know what I mean? You go through like these waves. You know, because I do that all the time with like gear. That's why one of the things that like I love, you know, guitars, and I was always like fascinated by like a guitar like the Junior, because
simplicity.
I think that's what it was. Yeah. It reminded me of something like it's Billy Joe Armstrong, it's Johnny Thunders, you know, like Bruce Springsteen or whatever. Like it's something to where you're just like there's no thrills about it, and it's like kind of an iconic. And because of when I play, like when you play different guitars, it brings out something different in you. Yeah, man. Yeah. You approach it differently. You feel differently.
Well, speaking of iconic, I love it when Billy Joe smashed his guitar in that
iHeartRadio.
Vegas.
That's the funniest.
That's the best thing ever.
1 fucking minute? You don't give me. I'll show you what 1 fucking minute looks like.
I've been around since 1988.
Not fucking Justin Bieber.
So good.
Oh, it's. You know what the best part of that video is? Watch. You know the best part of that video is when he goes, "I'll show you what 1 fucking minute looks like," and starts smashing his guitar. And if you look behind him, Mike Dirnt.
He does it too.
He does it, but you know what?
Chimes in.
That's what because he's just standing there and he just goes,
"Okay,
okay, I guess this is what we're doing now." Yeah. Like Billy's doing it, I'm gonna do it too. Like
that's great.
The funniest shit.
That was so good. That was so good.
So okay, so you go. Sorry, and we'll get wrapping up here soon. Yeah. But I just wanted to kind of like So you got to work with him for a year.
Yeah, so I got to work with him that last year that he was on in our presence. Yeah. Unfortunately, Jeremy Brown, he did a great job on that record. He was in the band for years before I was part of the family. So it's tough to step into that because, you know, when like you just lost someone and they got to, you know, get out there and do the tour, and like they can't do the tour. So like essentially they need you to do the tour. So it's like, and they're missing their guy. So, you know, it's a weird at first. But we came around towards the end, you know, what are you going to do? So, so the Jeremy passed unfortunately before the record came out, and that's how I got into the whole situation because they needed someone to do the tour because the guy had passed. Yeah. So and we did that album's. We did an album cycle, pretty much. Did a year of touring. Went to England and Canada and
just
America.
Did it throughout 2015.
Yeah, we didn't get to Europe, but we got to England and Canada and all around America. Wow. It was great because we got to play these big rock festivals.
What's it like performing and looking over to your left or your right, wherever you are on stage, and I mean Scott Weiland? You're like, I'm backing up Scott Weiland right now, motherfucker. Like, is it kind of like that?
Because like you're just professional doing your gig, and like
no,
I wasn't that familiar with STP, and like I was into VR, but it all came more apparent to me later. Like it's almost like I didn't know like enough about
the level of what you were.
I didn't even really know. I was just like, I'm gonna work. I want to work. You know, I want to do the gig. I'm gonna do the best I can, learn the material. I'm gonna really honor it and honor the tones. And I love the guys. You know, the drummer. Like me, I've known Tommy for a while, and like, you know, he's a sweetheart. And you know, it was just like.
That's probably
get up there into the gym, because I've been doing so many like sessions and Sayers gigs, and like you learn the music. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna learn the music and get up there and to be a professional.
Absolutely,
regardless of who it is.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But the cool thing was, it was Scott, so we got to play on loud, like big stages in front of a lot of people playing that music. Yeah. You know, so it's
like something like Vaseline.
Then it becomes into something else at that point, because now you're in a band. You know. Right. Then it becomes a band.
That's no, exactly. So I see what you mean. Yeah. So all that stuff probably goes out the window because you're just working and you're just trying to do a good job, like what we do as musicians and everything. Yeah. And because and that's probably good that you didn't have as much weight associated with him. So you could just do the job, and you weren't like starstruck, essentially.
No, yeah, I was way more. I still am way more starstruck with Perry around. But now that like I realized it now when I was doing the gig, I was like, wow, I became more starstruck later. But because like the material was so good, he was such a good writer, right? He's such a great artist. Yes, you know, that's the other. Yeah, because of the just of like what he put out, and like it's just so like to respect that.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, like you said, you've been knocking around doing sessions and like playing a bunch of great gigs already, to where it's probably just like, yep, I'm gonna just go in and like do the job and everything. I think for me, like,
it's a high-end rock gig though. That's the thing. That was the rare thing, was like there's lots of gigs around, professional gigs, but like the high-end rock gigs are like, that's more of a niche thing. Yeah.
And I think like with people like that, when you do get to work with really great, let's say iconic people, or people who are just master of their crafts, like I think it brings something out in you where you're like,
man,
they're here, I gotta match it. I gotta get on this same.
It's such a compliment to have a guy like that bring you under his wing, to lift you up. Who the fuck is this kid? Like, what?
And he's like, get in.
It's like, get
in the pool.
Come with us, and like, be doing these wings and flying around you, doing all that stuff. I didn't even know. And the photos later, it's like, oh, he's doing that. Cool,
right.
And then after a while, we'll just chum up, we'll just buddy up on stage, and I'd lean on his shoulder, and I'd just like, it's like my uncle or something. It kind of felt more like an uncle to me.
Right.
No.
Kind
of felt more like that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But,
yeah.
No, that's an incredible experience that nobody can.
Funny story.
Go for it.
Bus. Scott.
Oh, I want to.
God bless him, man. God bless him. I think he was smoking cigarettes in this bus at one point. Anyway, God bless the guy. I love that guy. But a funny story once. Because I like so many different styles of music, and like I've done DJing work before. I'm not gonna lie, but and I had like some Ravi Shankar on the bus once.
A what?
Ravi Shankar, the Indian music.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And I think it was just driving him nuts, and and he had company and stuff, and I think it was driving them nuts. And like, there'll be no Indian music on the bus. I was like, oh fuck, don't worry, all good, brother, all good.
He banned you from playing the Indian music.
I'll never forget that. No, there'll be no Indian music on the bus. God bless you, dude.
And you're just like over there going,
no worries.
Turn it off real quick right there. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. Oh, that's pretty fucking
No, but dude, that motherfucker, dude, he threw down, man. He threw down to his last breath. He's so inspired by that. Like, how many times do you think, fuck, I might just give up, or I might not be playing guitar in the next 10 years. Hopefully I still am. My plan to be, but that guy was fucking thrown down to his last breath. So like, all the power to him, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As far as one of the aspiring like front for a lead singer, because it's almost like an actor. Like he's just like in this part where he's just like, and he's larger than life. That's what I'm saying when I saw that concert performance where he's got the mohawk. Yeah. And I mean, of course, like Velvet Revolver. Yeah. And he kind of just reinvented himself like every time. And you're like, this guy's
they wrote those tunes to be more suited to STP as well.
What, for Contraband?
Yeah.
Really?
I heard, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it went down. I think they kind of went, well, if we write it more like STP, it'll fit more into his world, so it'd be like
he can draw something.
Be more comfortable for him,
That makes sense. Yeah,
pretty sure that was.
I remember the first time I saw Slither was the music video, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was getting ready for school, and I remember seeing it, and I was like, that guy looks like Slash. And then I learned, oh shit, they have a band now.
He's got had that really punk kind of like Sid Vicious look on
Yeah,
it.
that's what. Yeah.
That film clip is totally punk Sid Vicious.
Yeah, it's very Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
I think even right around that time, I got that haircut. Like I got the you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like this length, but instead of it being wavy, it was like fucking straight up. Like, you know.
One of the cool things about Scott, I remember the first thing when I first heard him do his thing, like, you know, okay, like this guy's a singer, all right. So when he started doing his vocal, like when he sang once, like not on stage, when he just did like, this is his talent coming out, you know,
like a vocal warm up.
What he just sang like a Bowie thing? I was like, oh, that's what it is. I get it.
What do you mean? Like
he
you could just hear something in his phone.
Yeah, I could hear what it was about him. I was like, oh, that's what it is. He just started singing, and just how he was like projecting his vocal cords and like how he had this character in his voice. I was like, oh, I get it. That's what it is. And then I went back and I was like, started doing all my research. I was like, oh man, that guy sings like freaking the best Jim Morrison I've ever heard.
Oh yeah,
it sounds exactly like it.
Yeah.
If you watch that Jim Morrison, where they, I think it's a tribute to the Doors or whatever, where he's singing with the Doors.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like you close your eyes, it sounds like Jim Morrison. So yeah. So he's a very special like that, and he really had that Bowie thing going on too. So I think he did like a Bowie thing. I was like, oh wow, I get it. Yeah. He's like he's got that Bowie thing going on, and like he's just got that voice. Like it's great, man.
Dude, to see and work with something like all that stuff like
with
firsthand, and you can
lyrics,
melodies. He's such a great lyric. He's such a great lyricist.
Melodies and lyrics.
Yeah, well, I mean that makes sense. Jim Morrison, great lyricist right there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But to be able to like kind of like see something like that and like you said, when you get to see like you're backstage or you're down the hallway and you just hear him practicing his craft, and you're going, that's the little thing. That's the thing that you're like, he's a motherfucker.
The megaphone, dude. The megaphone. Can you imagine being the monitor guy?
Oh fuck that!
The megaphone.
Oh my! How do you do that? How do you even navigate that?
Maxie was a genius at it. He figured he's probably one of the other guys that probably knew.
Because wouldn't that feed back naturally?
Yeah, so he figured out a way how to get around it, so he could just scream the hell out of it and it wouldn't feed back or something.
Right.
It's crazy.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that makes sense because it would immediately start to
instant feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it must have gated the hell out of it.
Is he like sitting there with like a knob? Like when's he gonna use?
Probably. He's probably like
when's he gonna use the megaphone? Right.
It would have been something like that. I bet.
You'd have to catch it like really
must be
quickly.
like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's insane.
So anyway.
Yeah, dude.
Cool.
We're going to call it right here. I'm going to let you get out of here.
No worries.
Nick, thanks so much for coming down and being a part of this podcast on episode 14. Fun. And for everybody out there, if you made it this far, congratulations. You win. Go check out Nick online. Well. Yeah, go look him up on Instagram. I think he's Nick Mabes. No, you can just type your name in, right?
Yeah,
Nick Maybury.
Maybes is the name on the handle. But
that's the handle. But we can just type your name in, follow you, like you, stalk, drop him a bunch of DMs, all that shit, harass him, and then hopefully in a month and a half you'll be able to tell the world what you got going on, or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
You'll be able to let the cat out of the bag.
All right.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this.
Cool, man.
See you guys.
See you, brother.
Bye. Later.